could be your hero, but I can't get out of bed. There's too much in my head. I could be more faithful, but I fail at that habit. So I run around instead. I wanna be good to myself, love hard to breathe more, drink less. I wanna be seen at my best, sleep more, be nice a lot less. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. January 1, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life. I could be your best friend, but I can't pick up my phone. Let it ring cause no one's home. I'm always judging and degrading. I should stop all that, I'm sure, but I'm just too insecure. I wanna be good to myself, love hard to breathe more, drink less. I wanna be seen at my best, sleep more, be nice a lot less. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. January 1, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. January 1, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life.
Start thinking, all the details start to sink in. I don't care
spend the summer in this beach house. 'Cause I was right to play my part. My lies memorized in my heart. I keep losing to a moment where I'm with you, I just can't focus. I love to hear your crazy theories about conspiracies on TV. I know the truth and it's so simple. Blame it all on stupid impulse. And I keep living out of my head. Just forgive me for my silence. 'Cause I was right to play my part. My lies memorized in my heart. 'Cause I was right to play my part. My lies memorized in my heart. 'Cause I was right to play my part. My lies memorized in my heart. see her walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a superstar. She looks so fly in those Gucci slides. Yeah, yeah, I wonder what she hides under her disguise. Yeah, 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 yeah. And all the girls around the world, they wanna be it. And all the dudes are trying to score like it's fever. She lives a double life, puts on a show. What's under the subtle smile, we'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. Let me paint a picture. I see they don't understand. Feeling like Picasso. She brushing against my hands. Seen you from around the way. You didn't give me the time of day. You be making moves that yeah, who really care what Simon say? All the bad things, girl, I had to look past that. Call yourself a dime, I'm just trying to get my cash back. You be looking fine, so no wonder they can't match that. Louis V scarf, or I'm chilling with a dad hat. Whoa, slow it down like that. Just hold me down like that. Yeah. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, YouTubes, Twitches, all the rest of it. I'll put my fucking lamp on. Welcome to the happy hour. I did have a prepared intro for me and Kristi, but we've been bum rushed by another white person. So that's irrelevant. I'm Kevin Logan, obviously. Welcome, firstly, to Dr. Kristi Winters.
Oi, oi.
And then to not Dr. Kristi Winters, but still Chrisiousity, and that's going to get confusing when we talk about Agatha Christie.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not Agatha Christie.
But she is Chrisiousity.
No, but I mean, I think you
Chrisiousity.
could be as big in the crime fiction world if you really wanted to.
Well, you know, maybe, but I don't want to, so I guess that's a problem.
It's a loss for society.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll never be that big with that attitude. Clearly.
I know, it's true. It's true.
Anyway, so yeah, we.
So, what
go on,
is this
sorry.
meme? What is this meme?
That's a Pokemon meme that someone put on Discord of that's it's his fucking face. He's rising.
Infrared.
Infrared. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
It is on the screen. I'm looking at the I've got a million things happening, Kristi. Don't have a go. What's this now? Getting fucking chirps from my fucking co-host. Outrageous. Anyway, so I'm just going to put you on the spot, Chrisiousity. What the fuck do you want?
I wanted to just bulldoze my way into a discussion about racist authors, obviously, because, you know.
Naturally. Yes.
Well, I'm just, again, this is like a cyclical argument at this point that we just keep going around and around like a little hamster wheel of cancel culture and crap. And I don't know, I'm a little sick of it. And so
Indeed.
I wanted to mouth off.
So as with our main story is white people history racism shit, and so is our racism white history month stuff. I'll just do the intro, shall I?
Yeah.
That's right. The white people wanted a White History Month. We're going to fucking give them one, and they won't enjoy it. Yes. So the current cancel culture war nonsense surrounding Dr. Seuss. It's annoying, as said. We'll get into it, but the basic story is, as you can see, Dr. Seuss Industries will cease publication of some works that include quote, hurtful portrayals of cultural stereotypes, the company announced on Tuesday. And what would have been Theodore Seuss Geisel, which is Dr. Seuss's real name, 117th birthday. The famed children's author, who has sold hundreds of millions of books across the globe, has been criticised for his racist depictions of people of colour. Colour spelt wrong, damn Americans. Last year, after consulting educators and other experts, the company that manages the author's works decided to discontinue 6 titles, including If I Ran the Zoo, and To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and McElligot's Pool. So... apparently that's cancel culture, even though they've made a decision by themselves or something.
Yes, they're canceling themselves.
Yeah.
Well, and this is one of the things that's really it's just so dishonest and so endlessly annoying because, if you turn on Fox, you will hear that they were outraged and they were offended, and because of them, this needs to be taken down. And it's bullshit because there is no they. There's nobody was calling up Dr. Seuss's, organization there going, I demand you stop publishing McGillicott Street, which nobody has read in 50 years, anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. In so many ways. In the same way with Mr. Potato Head, no one cared. No one gave a fuck.
Everyone who had both toys mixed up the pieces anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what kids do. They put things together and mix them up.
Yeah.
That's play.
Indeed. But there's sort of nuance to this, obviously, because there's no doubt that some of the depictions of people is phenomenally racist from Dr. Seuss's work. He was also like a massive anti-fascist as well. He was a conflicted character, the man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, one is political and moral, the other one is moral and political, and he kind of wanted anti-fascism for himself. But when it came to civil rights, and that sort of extending humanity. Anyway.
Yeah. So I've got, just as a jumping off point, because certainly here in Britain, Dr. Seuss's work isn't that well read, if that makes sense. We have our own children's book type dealios.
Dahl, right?
Yeah, we get Roald Dahl and the Mr. Men books and stuff like that. So I thought I'd put together a little slideshow. Some of these are from the books, some of these are from propaganda during the war and stuff, but they're all Dr. Seuss's original works, okay? And, wow. Yes. This one's called Waiting for the Signal from Home. You have Japanese people depicted very racistly, and they're handing out explosives to them, and they're from, as you can see, California, Oregon, and Washington, so the West Coast, and essentially saying they're the honourable fifth column.
He's attacking his fellow Americans based on where their parents or they were born, but before they became, American citizens.
Yeah.
Nice.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And also, he supported the internment of Japanese Americans during the war with this absolutely unbelievable quote. Lots of anti-Japanese nonsense coming up here. Quote, but right now, when the Japs are planting their hatchets in our skulls, it seems like a hell of a time for us to smile and warble. Brothers, it is a rather flabby battle cry. If we want to win, we're going to have to kill Japs, whether it depresses John Haynes Holmes or not. By the way, John Haynes Holmes, I didn't know who he was before, but I looked him up and he's one of the co-founders of both the NAACP and the ACLU. Which is pretty badass.
Okay.
And then he completes it with, we can get palsy-walsy after with those that are left.
Jesus.
So, not necessarily the nicest man in the world.
So, yeah, basically no civil rights for people who I accuse out of racism. No civil rights at all. Just summary execution. Because that's in the Constitution.
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, well, these are Japanese people. So they're different. They don't count,
Right.
And
they're not white.
People have to understand, this is really how people thought. I think a lot of times we look back and go, oh, it wasn't a big deal. And people didn't really believe that because it's so ridiculous. No, they believed this.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And they were willing to kill you over it. So,
And there's no doubt his anti-Japanese work during the Second World War was one of the reasons he was so widely pushed and accepted in American society in the post-war world.
yeah.
Yes. Also, he did. These are from a series of advertisements for the Flit anti-bug spray company. And as you can see there's a black person depicted as, essentially a kind of savage ape creature. Absolutely unbelievable. There's this picture of a Japanese person where they're both a Nazi and a communist.
Because that makes sense.
Depicted really badly with the word Jap on the hat, so
Oh, just to stab you in the heart.
Just in case you didn't quite get the racism involved.
It's like, I think I was pretty racist in my depiction, but I better label it. Just
exactly. In many respects, this was like
precursor of Garrison.
Oh, you beat me to it. Yeah, This is the progenitor of the Ben Garrison disease.
Yeah.
Yes. They said this one, which look, I think that's good that he's being anti-fascist, but does he have to portray the Japanese person like that? I don't think so.
No.
There's in this of 3 Chinese people depicted rather offensively carrying the Snorlax, I believe, on their heads, which is a bit rough.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This one, very nasty thing incoming here. The sign on the back there says, "Take home a high grade N, hard R, for your wood pile, satisfaction guaranteed." And the black people are literally like gollywogs, basically.
Stomach turning. This stuff is stomach turning.
Yep. There's then another one from the Flit advertisements, which I saw, which was again, black person basically looks like an ape. The depiction is fucking atrocious. More anti-Japanese stuff. Again, they're sly and devious and dangerous and depicted racistly. Ugh. Then, like I say, it wasn't just the depictions, some of the words. In updated versions, this reads, "a Chinese boy who eats with sticks." But in this one, they've used Chinaman.
So the original.
Nice. Just in case you didn't get it, also the American Indian cops it. With Carnival Committee. And, again, from one of the books that's now being decommissioned, or whatever the word is. Again, 2 black people depicted as... well, you can fucking see. Yeah. So.
And I forget what they call it, the Society for Protection of Dr. Seuss or whatever. I forget the terminology of this group that is in charge of his works, but they're doing their job. They don't want people to be looking at this, reading this to their kids and going, what the fuck? They want this to be quietly put away where people aren't going to see it so they can keep up the nicer versions, the ones where he was, and he did get better. I'm not here to say that that's okay, and I'm not here to say that that's, it totally makes everything okay. I am saying that he did get better. Yeah. And if it was my job to protect his legacy, I wouldn't want this argument happening all over Fox News, because if people actually look at it, but here's what happened, you get a bunch of boomers who remember enjoying his books 30, 40, 50 years ago when they were kids, and they have their, and so they don't look, they just react. And, you have these very dishonest journalists, or if you want to call them that, or people who are getting on shows and saying, they are coming for Dr. Seuss and they will come for everyone and anyone, and they're, instead of presenting any of the nuance of this.
Yeah.
Which is like,
It's pretty fuck it. Yeah. Especially coming from people who not just are going back and editorializing ancient texts, which effectively is what Seuss is now, but people who want to cancel, like Colin Kaepernick right now, for daring to be political. But apparently self-censoring, or whatever you want to call it, that's the real cancel culture.
Yeah. I think there's a part of this is we are like 2 generations past when these books were written, let's say, getting on 3, right?
Yeah.
So the people running the companies now didn't grow up with these kind of attitudes, or most of them, I would hope at least. And so it's like as inheritors of this content, it's not just like it's here in this case, the company doesn't want this stuff because they want a diverse consumer base. And like you said, with Chrisiousity, they don't want people becoming repulsed by this. And it's a consequence of not only like leftist people and consumers becoming more conscious, but I think corporations, people who are inside the corporations now, are embodying these kind of civil rights issues. And I guess I can think it didn't take people protesting to get them to stop. It kind of came from within. Which, if more of that happened, I can only say is probably a good thing.
I mean, in the larger thing, imagine if you were, and not just Seuss, imagine if you were like the Aunt Jemima. You worked for the Aunt Jemima people. So basically your brand, even if you don't care at all about racism, even if you don't care at all about any of this stuff, knowing that your brand is basically a racist anachronism, that's what you're selling to people, is this racist imagery from back in the day when these things made sense. That's not, people live and die by their brands. They don't want that.
In a lot of ways, I think it represents a decline in the hegemony of the white consumer, and the way that everything was geared around white people, movies, magazines, products. Everything was from that framework, and that is really substantially declined. And now other people's dollars are being chased, and as a consequence, the whole mood of things is sort of reflecting that. And I think that's probably why some people in an older generation and insecure white people now feel like their countries, like they're losing the culture war, because they're not being catered to all the time to everybody else's detriment.
Yeah, and not just that, but the center of gravity, even within the white dollar, so to speak, is that generally speaking, like, as you can see from the kind of virtue signaling shit that, like, say, Oreo coming out and saying trans people are real or whatever, like, that's clearly something that people respond at least well to in white society as well, and they're moving away from obviously overt racism, as we just saw,
So when Chrisiousity came in and wanted to talk about Dr. Seuss, and I said, I'm going to talk about Agatha Christie, and she's like, well, I'll see your Agatha Christie, and I'll raise you an Ian Fleming. No, that didn't really happen, but it would have been funny if it had.
But what we haven't all read? The Bible. And that would be much better. So,
define read. Like, how much of the Bible must one have read for one to have read the Bible?
Jesus.
I read that part. That was one of the less painful parts. There was some sort of narrative structure.
I don't know.
There.
Jesus found it pretty painful toward the end there, if you know what I'm saying.
Someone in the chat was like, "Is Agatha Christie racist too?" Oh, please buckle up when it comes to me, because there's a whole range of stuff. But we're going to talk about Ian Fleming first.
Well,
can we talk about Agatha Christie first, so I can get my ducks in a row?
I think it's not a coincidence that Christie, Fleming, and Seuss were writing at roughly the same sort of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
I think there's a very significant connection there, that racism was just par for the course. Even if you were writing a murder mystery novel, let's throw in some racism. Come on now.
I mean, if you go back and you watch movies from that time, cartoons from that time, read books from that time, listen to music from that time, it's amazing how often racism and misogyny and rape culture, it's
steeped in it.
It is so, and there's a part of that, one is that the people who were being given the microphone were racists. So what else are they going to say? Racist people say racist shit, and the other part was that there was keeping these things in play, keeping these think about racism. So we all know that racism is actually bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to keep repeating certain things. You need to keep repeating the stereotypes, repeating the lies, repeating all of this bullshit over and over again to indoctrinate everybody into going along with the project of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you can just assume that people growing up with each other are going to keep going with if you don't reinforce it. So there's a little bit of that too, I mean, what does, we saw some of the things that Dr. Seuss did about, it was like a bug repellent that he was in charge of.
Yeah, flit.
He did a dozen of these just mind-bogglingly, stupidly racist advertisements, just insulting every race as they go. Now, you don't have to insult different races to sell bug repellent. No. But it helps. So...
Yeah, it basically draws on the current social structure of inequality and then reinforces it and therefore perpetuates it. By normalizing it, it makes sure it carries fun forward, that it's harder to break down because you have to then undermine people's bigoted assumptions, racist assumptions, as opposed to their egalitarian ones. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so should we talk a bit about Agatha Christie?
Are we doing Christie or Fleming first?
Well, Chrissy asked me to do Christie first.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like a slapstick routine now. Right, so we're doing Agatha Christie first. Okay.
Yeah, because she wanted to get her ducks in a row, right?
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
I have ducks. They're very hard to row.
All right. So I did a little bit more work this time than I did last time, but not much. But this choice came out of my conversation at the end of our last happy hour when I was talking to Kevin about how shocked I was that hold on, that are you centering that? Do I need to really small
What are you
that
doing?
down?
Small what down?
I'm trying to get. Oh, you've got your own screen.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I've just put a
All
picture of Agatha Christie on the screen. I didn't
Okay,
presume
then I
you'd
won't-
got visuals for it.
Okay, I just had some magazine covers. That's fine. I can then move what I want to say over here. So I do have some links I'll have to give to Kevin because these come basically from there. But yes, backstory really quick. I grew up watching, Miss Marple, mostly Poirot. I watched a lot of Poirot. Not growing
Poirot
up,
is
sorry.
the shit.
And
Can I
when
get
got
some
to the
H's
UK
for
especially,
Hercule in the chat, please, people?
I
Let's
love
do
a bit
this.
of Poirot. Absolutely. Just the music. Dun, 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 dun. Just it gives me shivers. Anyway, and I really very much enjoyed those. Miss Marple 2, maybe a little bit less, but I found the audiobooks and started listening to the originals and was just coming up against really problematic attitudes and words and stuff. And as we mentioned last time on the happy hour, she just sort of freely will drop what a slur referencing like Italian or Spanish people, which I call the daylight come and me want to go home.
Oh,
slur.
someone else said it rhymes with the popular beverage Faygo.
Oh, I don't know Fago.
What kind of fucking juggalette do you call yourself, really, Christie?
What's a juggalette?
It's a female juggalo, which is the Insane Clown Posse thing.
Right. And I decided to look into it a bit more, and it's actually really, really depressing. All right, so from history.com, they had 10 things you may not know about Agatha Christie, but this one, they decided to put it number 8. Not number 1, but...
Well, you know what
their
number 1 was?
What was it?
She was a fucking hardcore juggalette.
Okay. Number 8 was, the Anti-Defamation League protested her portrayal of Jews.
Oh, fuck me. Jesus Christ.
History.com writes, Christie's works are filled with derogatory references toward Black, Asian, Italian, Native American, and Arab peoples. Jewish people don't fare well either. Christie generally depicts them as hooked-nosed and money-grubbing. At one point, the Anti-Defamation penned a letter objecting to her apparent anti-Semitism. Though the letter was reportedly never shown to her, it prompted her agent to give her permission to her publishers to delete any distasteful passages about Jews and Catholics. Christie's defenders dispute the racism charges, claiming that although some of her characters use racial epithets, these characters tend to be portrayed negatively overall. Right.
Wow. Although someone should definitely clip that bit where Christie's saying Christie wrote X, Y, and Z, because that made you sound really racist.
The next one is a little clip from an Observer article entitled Revisiting Agatha Christie's Orientalism in Death on the Nile. I have a little bit more from this one because it's a longer form piece, but the author writes, and I'm sorry I don't have it because it's on a different screen now. The construction of imperialist identity is deeply embedded in the bedrock of British literature, whether this comes in depictions of war and veterans, as in Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, or reckoning with the legacy of colonialism, as in Zadie Smith's White Teeth. To construct an empire, a domain is needed, an us and them. Christie's own interests led her directly into this path. Crime novels require an us and them as well, usually in the form of an evil other. Even cozy murder mysteries demand an outsider lurking around the corner and an explanation of how they became an outsider. If they used to be part of us, a justification for their turn to evil is needed. ... Christie's novels have not been stranger to controversy, from having to rename her novels to her construction of, quote, native cultures, unquote, as evidenced in A Caribbean Mystery, as well as here in Death on the Nile. Her work frequently uses racist language and insults in its construction of ideas around criminality and guilt, whether through offhanded comments or outright stereotypes. Scholars have looked into the melting pot of Orientalism, racism, and colonialism in Christie's work, and he goes on to talk about Mevouda Zegnan has written articles that discuss the work of post-colonial scholar Edward Said, the author of the foundational text Orientalism in relation to Christie's
Edward Said. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Of the Orient as other. Still, most analyses of Christie's work appear to hardly note her history of Orientalism and racism. If they do, they seem to brush it off, as a 2010 New Yorker profile of Christie seems to. While a deeper analysis of racism and colonialism has begun in literary discourse, Christie appears to have emerged relatively unscathed. I would also agree with this. Right.
Yeah.
So the last bit of it that I'll read, and then I'll be done. And then I have just one more headline to read. Her puzzles are good, soapy fun. Her prose is more like a play than a novel, with stories being told mostly through dialogue. They are the epitome of the beach read. This quick fix can be comforting, like a story we already know. Some have theorized that this is why the shows like Law & Order, SUV are so popular. We want to believe justice is doled out somewhere in a neat hour or 200 pages. But as we have seen year after year, comfort reading is usually only comforting for some. If some readers can easily skip over Christie's racist remarks or descriptions of people as, quote, human clusters of flies, unquote, many other readers cannot or will not. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, the important point. And the last headline I'll read, but I won't, this is from blog.pshares.org, is the casual classism of Agatha Christie.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely endemic, yeah.
Yeah, and we can throw in sexism there. I mean, I know she has some strong female characters, but she tends to quite often assert a essentialist feminist point of view that women have this sort of superior intuition by virtue of, I don't
Well,
know.
and there's a lot of damsel in distress
Yes,
tropey
and a lot of very
shit.
stereotypical kinds of women. So yes, I think I have some problems with her as a feminist writer as well.
Also, just on the point of why these sorts of shows and stuff are popular, like CSI and all that stuff, I think it goes back to it's kind of rooted in the same psychological place as the great man theory of history. The idea that it's a kind of, as with Poirot or Sherlock Holmes or whoever, it's like this maverick who kind of works either in or just outside the system and plays by their own rules but gets results. It's that kind of, rather than it being like a collaborative effort where you get together like fingerprints and DNA evidence and, you know, all that sort of stuff, which takes hundreds of people, you can condense all that down to one person and say, oh, it was Sherlock Holmes figured it out because he's a genius, man.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, but that's not to do with racism. I just thought I'd bring it up.
So the way I'll close this is I personally like the stories, and I'm okay with modernity taking the essence of her stories and leaving aside the things in the past that really deserve to be there, and representing and having representation of people in the stories in a way that reflects our current value system and what the kind of society we want to see. An example of that is in Death on the Orient Express that was released by Kenneth Branagh. He had a black doctor. It was the guy who was in Leslie Jones from Hamilton, was one of the positive characters in that film. And yeah, it was good to see that. It kind of shook me because I wasn't used to that in a Christie film, and I would like to see more of that.
Yeah. Someone says the Batman syndrome. Yeah, basically. That's what I was referring to. I know they didn't have DNA back in the time of, you know, Sherlock Holmes, for instance, but CSI and those kind of shows do. Mm-hmm. The basic point is, in order to get justice, it takes like dozens and dozens of people working really hard and shit. Like, it's not one person going, well, I saw the mud on your boots, and therefore you must have been last Tuesday with your uncle in Swindon. Like, no, that's nonsense.
I'm going to confess now. This is ironclad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
God.
No crime has ever been solved that way. That's not how it works.
Yes. Let me walk through my means, motive, and opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. They always have to explain shit at the end. And part of you's like, no, tell him to fuck off and like just get handcuffed and go to your death. These people were going to swing for that shit. This wasn't just like 10 years in prison. Anyway, sorry. So Ian Fleming was also a douche.
Yes, he was a British douche.
He was.
So was Christie.
Well, he was the thing about...
Yeah, but Seuss wasn't.
Ian Fleming is he was a British naval intelligence officer. He was actually a fairly high-ranking one, well-educated, up there. And he started, it was after the war that he started, you know, writing these books about this spy, which obviously he was not taking them directly from any kind of, you know, he was dressing them up and making them sexy and fun and doing all the things that he was doing. But the fact that this is his idea of what spies did at all, or how spies thought, is kind of terrifying when you read the books. So I have, I had just put it down. One of his books right here. Yes, I have his book Casino Royale, and he.
Which was the first of the Bond novels, wasn't it?
The first of the Bond, yeah. And they show like an actual, where he's supposed to have done a report, and he's this organization M has passed on this report to Bond, the spy, and they want.
You never see Bond doing any paperwork, do you?
No.
And he must do. He must have to like file reports and stuff.
At some point.
Yeah.
It's not a license to be free from paperwork.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you killed all of those Russians. We need to know how that happened.
Kevin, why do you have Jeffrey Rush up on the screen?
That's not Jeffrey Rush.
Does he look like him?
He looks like Jeffrey Rush. To be fair, yes, he does look like Jeffrey Rush, but that is actually the man himself.
All right.
So, all right. So they send Bond this description of this apparently evil spy that he should be looking out for. And the description is 5 feet 8 inches, 18 stones, complexion very pale, clean shaven, hair red brown, eyes very dark brown with white showing all around the iris, small, rather feminine mouth.
Is this a dating profile?
With large lobes indicating some Jewish blood.
Oh, God.
Maybe not then.
Hands small, well tended, hirsute, feet small. Racially, subject is probably a mixture of Mediterranean with Prussian or Polish strains.
What? Fucking what?
Yeah,
Oh.
like
This is phrenology from a distance.
Yeah, exactly. From the
less credible.
cranial front bumps, I can tell he was a thief in his youth. Like, yeah. Fuck that.
yeah. I mean, as you go through and as you read this book, this is basically. It becomes obvious that these people really did, oh my God, care about race. They were just like down to the, well, he's got a liver disorder. He's probably got some French blood. You know, like, where are you even getting this from? You know?
It was a time of scientific, well, I mean, earlier in the 30s, as you were saying about when they were writing, scientific racism was not questioned
Yeah.
as much. You know, like today there's real science, but then I don't know how much of a pushback there was to it. I guess there were
Apparently
probably
not
debates.
much, because high-ranking naval officers were sending each other, you know, look for someone with the Polish strains in an otherwise Mediterranean people. Like, you
And
know,
he was-
oh, that's good. That's clear.
Well, he was clearly like of the empire as well, because he was, like you say, he was a naval officer, and he wrote many of the novels at Goldeneye, which was the name of his plantation in, was it Barbados, I think, one of the Caribbean islands. And he was clearly like of the English upper crust who would have considered, you know, black people basically subhuman in essence.
People still have plantations. Blows my mind.
Yeah, he lived in Jamaica, I think. for a
Jamaica,
while.
sorry, I knew it was one of the Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
All you Caribbean islands look the same to me.
And I think I pulled up something that he had. Where is it? I haven't the slightest clue how to share.
Oh, did you want to share a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can
Can
tell
I
you.
like
Well, I
just
have
send
to-
it to somebody?
You can send it to me if you want.
Otherwise,
Yeah, let me-
in the interface, there's a green screen. Is green button in the middle of your screen. It says share screen.
I'm gonna send it to Kevin because
Okay.
you know me in computers, and by the
That's
time I
fine.
figure out how to do that,
No worries.
okay.
I had to figure out Discord live on air Monday night.
Yes, thank you to John Scroll12 for following on Twitch. Ian Fleming on Jamaica and race relations. Oh, this could be fun. Okay. Main window. There we go. Resize this a little bit. Right. Ian Fleming on Jamaica and race relations. On July the 4th, 1952, Ian Fleming wrote Pleasure Islands for The Spectator, which is the incredibly right-wing magazine. Shortly after completing the draft of Casino Royale, in which he discussed race relations in Jamaica, article first published here. There are several notable things about the article, starting with the date. Perhaps it's true that, quote, after 40 it is difficult to start a new life, unquote. But Fleming had obviously just begun a new life as a writer. When Fleming wrote this, the Caribbean was a far more exotic and remote place. At first, Fleming seems to have taken his own advice about laying off booze in the tropics, though by the early 60s he'd descended into alcoholism. Was he complimenting himself when he praised the Scots for being naturally patient and sober, wonderful colonisers, and possessing hardy and absorbing inner lives? What?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Which bit?
The from the sober part.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this was before.
We all know this about Scots.
Yeah.
We do.
By the way, I can't see your screen anymore, Kev. Can you share with
Because
me again?
I unshared thinking that Christie was going to share. But Agatha Christie was going to share. So anyway.
Thank you.
So yes, was he complimenting himself when he praised the Scots for being naturally so? See, this is the thing, though, right? They're not
Naturally
drunks.
patient.
They're not.
and sober,
They're not drunks anymore. Now they're smackheads. So
But also naturally patient.
yeah, you've
Naturally
you've never been in a Scottish chippy, clearly, Mr. Fleming.
Have you watched our clips from
Yeah.
Scottish Patter?
And they're wonderful colonizers. They're really good at that.
To be fair, they were pretty fucking good at it. History backs him up on that one, if nothing else.
When they were part of the military, though, right? Because they were as part of Great Britain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not saying it was just the Scots. The English were shit, too. The Welsh were pretty bad.
But in terms of having, their own colonies?
No, well, actually, it was their attempt to build a colony that made United Kingdom a thing. Look up New Caledonia in what is now Panama. They bankrupted themselves and had to go to England for assistance. Anyway. Though non-Bondian, this article carries several characteristic themes familiar from the novels. German bashing, naturally. Acidi, whatever.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. Let's have a look. Mr. Google will know. Spiritual or mental sloth, apathy. Okay. Fleming's favourite sin. And the eccentric wonders of flora and fauna. The zing of crickets is a phrase reused 5 times later in Dr. No. Lastly, we come to what might grab modern readers' attention most, the racial attitudes. On one hand, Fleming preaches a message of embracing racial/cultural differences and tries to calm his white readers' fears about black sexuality. But his praise of blacks, quote, they are loyal to good employers and sober and honest. There's a sobriety thing going on here, fuck me. Is also somewhat backhanded, quote, unless sorely tempted, but when they fail heavily and far, unquote. Fall, sorry. Fuck me, the writing is annoyingly small. And then we get sentences like, quote, without patience you cannot live and work with coloured people.
Oh, gosh.
Unquote. Followed by undeniably racist observations such as, quote, most black races have more fears than the whites, and their physical strength is often undermined by weak nerves, and this makes them an easy prey to sickness or fear. Unquote.
Yeah, imagine that living in a racist society where they can be murdered, there's no justice for them.
That's, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think he was a bit of a racialist.
Might be psychologically damaging.
I think he was a little bit racist,
Yeah, a little bit. The praise about blacks having better sight, hearing, and sixth sense will likely not please modern readers either. In discussing these racial attitudes, we should take in mind that Fleming's statements were deemed perfectly acceptable and publishable in a sophisticated mainstream magazine in 1952. His attitudes are thus of his time and class. For readers in the monocultural Britain of 1952, blacks were an exotic species to be observed in the mock anthropological manner Fleming used here in Live and Let Die. By the way,
and when they should add the line, and yeah, that's racist as fuck.
It was indeed.
I kind of think that the writer of this article is a little bit fucking racist.
Yeah, apologistic.
Like, come on.
And when not quoting him, he's still referring to them as the blacks. So, yeah, the person writing this is probably, a bit rough. But also, it is of its time, because I remember reading about a what was called a Negro zoo, was what they were referred to as.
What?
Where they had, this was in Belgium, and the last of them closed in 1959. They would exhibit black people from Congo.
What?
As essentially
a lot of
animals.
Circuses were like that too.
Yeah.
1959.
Yeah, I remember that because my father was born in 1957, and I was like, so in the lifetime of my father, there were black people in zoos. Fuck me. That is mental. Anyway, the final paragraph. In retrospect, it seems ludicrous to make observations about an entire race of people based on the observations of lower-class inhabitants of a small island. So, nice bit of classism as well here. But Fleming and his audience had a view of the world that now seems as remote from our own as Jamaica did to Fleming's readers.
I think it's absurd to think that Ian Fleming was not racist, but then he went to Jamaica. And no, come on. This is not based on any observation. This is based on him being a racist.
Indeed.
He was racist when he got there, and he continued to racism.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me really see. One, I mean, I see very much the racism in our current society, and I can see now how those overt attitudes were reinforced by the institutions. And the thing is that even though these people and their views have died off, the ghosts of their attitudes remain with us. And just like companies that have to say, no, we're not going to publish this anymore. This is really in the past now. We have to do the same with institutional reform in our own generations, and not kind of just as nobody here on the left does this, but people on the right sort of think somehow because something's been around for a long time, that means it's working well for everybody. And it's just, it never did. And that's what becoming anti-racist, I think, helps you understand, is that you can understand, we can project in our minds what it could be, but it's never been that, ever.
We need to we're talking UK and USA, right? So we started out with, on one hand, colonialism, slavery, really eugenics, really dark place that we started. Genocides, like this was the starting place of our modern societies.
Yeah.
To a large degree. It's not surprising it's going to be a bit of a trek to get to free ourselves of all of this shit and get through it all.
And the worst of it is,
layers of it.
In Britain, that colonial history is looked on pretty favourably. A lot of people consider it like our best time, and that makes my skin crawl. But there we go.
Yeah, because they're looking at it from the position of the colonizers, not the colonized.
Yeah, exactly. Our entire wealth was built, as has been said, the wealth of Britain was found in the gold and diamond mines under Johannesburg. It's just true.
And to kind of build on Christie's point, the foundations of our republic are built upon racism, patriarchy, and a very exclusive economic class holding power. I mean, they wrote those laws for themselves and nobody else, and so it's going to take us a while to really undo that foundational corruption that taints the ideals that we now see in their words.
Yeah. And this means that until we're done with this project, which if we could stop whining about it and get on with it, we'd get there quicker. It means that every few years or so, we're going to look back and we're going to see things that we were like, ooh, we did that, didn't we? And instead of freaking out about it, we could say, well, at least we're not there now and maybe we can keep going.
I feel like that about homophobia in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a shame to me that I didn't question that more now. But I was swimming in it, it wasn't questioned around me for very long, until I was in my teens.
Well, this is why I point out to people about the way in which trans issues are discussed, especially by right-wingers, but the left isn't always perfect, and I'm a part of that, I suppose. We will look back in 10, 50, 100 years, whatever, and think how barbaric it was that we wouldn't let them go for a piss in their own toilet. It's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
But there we go.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have things that... And, maybe someday, because people are always telling me, well, someday you'll be canceled, too. If I'm doing shitty things that I'm too blind or bigoted to notice that I'm doing shitty things, and people fix that 30 years from now, good on them. I don't want them to keep being ignorant fucks on my behalf.
I want society to progress to the point where they look back at me and go, fucking hell, Grandpa Logan was a piece of shit. Oh my God, what a reactionary fuckhead he was. Oh well, never mind. And they move on with their fucking lives, because that's, once you're old and dead, who cares anymore, really? Society moves on. That's it. Anyway, so are we done with shitting on authors?
Yeah, I think it's time for your bit, Kev.
Yeah. So, if you thought the last bit was depressing, if you thought the last bit showed a bad side of humanity, oh, you innocent young fools, this is way worse. I take you now to the land of Australia. Oh yeah, we're going full Southern Hemisphere white nonsense now. The Stolen Generations. The Stolen Generations are one of the most despicable things, but it's mirrored across basically all places where white people settled and colonized. It happened in America with Indian, quote-unquote Indian, native First Nations people being taken and put in white schools and stuff, and essentially trying to breed them out of existence. And the same was done in the residential schools in Canada and various other places. But in Australia, it happened for a lot longer, and it's within living memory. Literally, the White Australia policy didn't end until the 60s. So, we'll take a look at this. It's depressing, but the second video is even worse, so buckle in, I suppose.
Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people should be aware that this series may contain images, voices, or names of deceased persons.
This episode, The Stolen Generations, is part of the series that deals with people. It begins in Canberra, moves across to Melbourne, and ends in a remote Aboriginal settlement in Western Australia. We examine the confused racial thinking behind what many have described as Australia's own attempt at genocide. And we
You can tell this is some like National Museum of Australia shit, because they're like, some people have described it as genocide. No, it was genocide. You don't need to qualify that. Hello?
Yep, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, no, I mean, some people have described it as genocide. Well, what would you describe it as?
Well, they're doing the kind of
What are you
middle of the
saying?
road thing, because it's the National Museum of Australia. So they're like,
Other people described it as a walk in the park? What?
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the alternative here?
Well, because racist white Australians would be like, no, it wasn't genocide, it was fine. So they
Well,
have
if it was
to
a-
have to both sides it, I suppose.
Yeah, but how do you both sides of genocide? Like, oh, it wasn't enough to qualify as a genocide? Like they were 50 short? I mean, what are you going to legalese this?
No, they're just going to
Dude.
totally ignore it. Have you seen Australian politics? They're just going to go, no, it's fine. Shut up.
Well, I guess it's just, yeah, like some people say, what are the other people saying? I think that's the real question there.
Yeah.
What's the other side of this argument when you look at the facts? There is none.
Yeah. The other argument is, well, it's our land now. That's literally it.
Well, again, that's not an argument.
Oh, no,
But,
obviously
yeah.
not. But this is,
Yeah.
this is Australian politics. They're literally offshoring them in fucking concentration camps now. Like, it's despicable. Anyway.
celebrate the survival of Indigenous people.
John was one of thousands of Aboriginal children who grew up never knowing his mother. First, he was placed in an orphanage and told by the missionaries that he had to be white. Then they sent John to Kinchela, a boys' home on the Macleay River, hundreds of miles from his home.
John was just 10 years of age when an iron gate clanged shut behind him. That same iron gate is the object of this episode. And 30 years on, John remembered every moment vividly. They took your bag from you, everything you owned, and threw it on a fire. Then they shaved your hair, they stripped you down, they made you dress in clothes stamped with a number. They never called you by your name, they called you by your number. Kinchela was a place they treated you like animals.
John remained at Kinchela for all that was left of his childhood. And in a way, his childhood was taken from him.
All
In
you
a
did
way?
was work, work, work.
What was that, Sarah?
In a way.
In
In a way, his childhood
Yeah.
was taken from him? No, his child...
You know, what do you think about it?
Yeah, he was subjected to mental abuse, bordering on torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are both sides in frankly, a rather nuclear way. But I wanted to just get a basic breakdown video, because there are some fantastic documentaries, but they're like 4 hours long. Not practical for our purposes. So I just wanted there to be like a basic understander. Then the second video is a TED talk from a woman who was part of it, like was literally stolen. And then a third video, which I think is of interest as well.
Work. We never went into the town. The boys' home was just a prison.
Kinchela was a place of physical and emotional maltreatment. White managers and white staff controlled the lives of Aboriginal children. Sometimes they even sexually abused them. And for the most part, the authorities turned a blind eye at Kinchela, at Cootamundra Girls' Home, at institutions for the so-called half-caste children right across the country.
John was one of the stolen generations. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children taken from their families, fostered out to white homes, imprisoned in white institutions. His testimony is recorded in this report, a national inquiry into the stolen generations. And their pain, their hurt, the great wrong that was done at Coachella and 100 places like it is the subject of this episode.
How and why were the children taken? The answer lies in a fundamental inequality enshrined in the Constitution of the Commonwealth. In the early 20th century, Australia's first parliament sat here in Melbourne, and many government offices, like the old Treasury buildings, became a concern of the Commonwealth. Aboriginal people were denied the basic rights of citizenship. They could not vote. They had no say at all over the laws that governed their lives. Indeed, the early Australian Commonwealth abdicated all responsibility for what was commonly called native affairs. Indigenous Australians were not even counted in the census. The nation we created in 1901 defined itself as white.
Okay, I have to stop here. I'm sorry. Why is the video just watching a white woman walk around a building? Like, what?
No, that's fair. No, that's entirely fair.
Well,
I mean,
don't worry. We've got the testimony from the next video is an actual Aboriginal person. So, but like I say, I needed to get like a condensed, like brief history of the thing so people understood the.
No, I don't think, it's not for you. It basically, Christie's right. What you need here are some stills comparing like the wealth and decadence of the white Australians giving themselves all the right and compare it with pictures of native peoples at the time and the conditions under which they lived rather than a white woman walking through a fancy building.
Yeah, well, there are some pictures of native people later on in the thing, as you can see there.
You just need to Ken Burns this shit a little bit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, but it's a lovely building.
I'm sure it's very nice.
But visually, it is irrelevant. I'm not getting any more information from what I'm seeing. This is like I'm a critic now. I'm an editor, right? Well, also this makes it fair use. So I watched actually something on copyright on Leonard French. It was about Thunderfoot, actually. And he used a clip from a guy who was doing the whatever Elon Musk's blown up thing. And Thunderfoot.
Hang on. Elon Musk's blown up thing. Are we talking about his prostate? What?
No, his space shuttle. Didn't one of his launches blow up or whatever?
Doesn't that happen regularly? I don't fucking know.
Well, anyway, the point was Thunderfoot used 18 seconds of his clip, and the guy basically said, you should give me $750 for that. And he said, no, it's fair use. And Leonard French said, fair use has to do with the content. You can't just use content as part of a story to illustrate it. So the fact that we're commenting on the editing choices and the visuals here actually makes it legit fair use.
Okay, but Kristi, let's be honest. You're rationalising your want to critique.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if they try to monetize this, Kevin, you don't let that shit stand.
Well, they can monetize it all they like. I don't fucking care. I'm not getting anything from it. What difference does it make to me?
Anyway, I'm just out here to educate on copyright law. That's my mission in life.
All right, so less silly white woman walking around a building, more.
And it's so ridiculously silly. She's stopping, she's looking around.
But did you see the bust of the guy with the chin strap beard? It was delightful.
What are you?
That guy was probably racist as fuck. So.
Yeah.
Imagine being on a video about, Australian racism is bad, and they're saying, you know what we need to do? You need to put your hair up and then walk around this building, and we'll video you everywhere you go.
This is the Freedom Caucus's fertility fucking panel that was all made of men, but as an infomercial or something. I
mean, we're all white too. I'm not saying I don't get that sometimes you end up being white people talking about things, but this was a planned thing.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a bunch of people just get on and start ripping.
Yeah, they had an editorial meeting for this.
Yeah,
went, this sounds great.
This.
Yeah, let's do this. Anyway, back to white woman walks around old building.
While talking about the
But the laws that administered Aboriginal Australia, the rations and the rules, they were made at state rather than national level. Victoria's Protection Board sat here in this beautiful room. Each state set up so-called protection boards to manage the natives, and it was here that decisions were made that changed the fate.
Oh, second white person. Good.
Is it just me, or is she kind of smiling too much about this when she's talking about it?
Yeah, and look, I mean, again, I just cannot get over the dichotomy that's going on here. Like, they sat in this beautiful historic building. Isn't it lovely here? This is where they planned the jet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
This is how they decided to, basically abuse the native population.
Is this
in a conspiracy.
A travel video? Are you? What are we doing here?
It's just like the energy is all wrong here.
All right, I need to get a cup of tea or something. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm also going to say, it's also for me a little bit discordant to hear a white woman talk about these things, also in a very flippant voice. But I'm aware that
that's just the Australian accent. Have you enjoyed to hear him talk about anything seriously?
I don't know if I think people would be less likely to, white people would be less likely to watch this and take it in if it wasn't delivered by a white person. I think if it was a native person describing what their ancestors did to my ancestors, they would. So you need a soft landing for the fragile white ego, white
True,
fragility.
But it's Australia. That kind of Australian accent's like, on the Battle of the Somme, 20,000 men died in 4 hours. It's bonza! You can't say things seriously. It doesn't work.
Maybe not. Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone who's a serious Australian. And I was like, Tim Minchin? No.
No, you've got Tim Minchin, you've got Crocodile Dundee, you've got Steve Irwin. This is fundamentally not a serious nation. Although they were serious about doing genocide.
Yeah, and don't even come at me with Russell Crowe, because most of the time he doesn't even do an Australian accent.
Also, he was technically born in New Zealand.
Okay, or who else? Guy Pearce or whatever.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, again, another guy who covers up his...
Mel Gibson.
Definitely covers up his accent.
White people. Eh?
Yes. Well, you can't throw a stick without hitting a racist white person these days.
Yeah, have you seen... Well, like I say... It's not like they've actually really recovered as a nation in terms of their racism, really, because they're still doing it. They're still literally the offshore island. They're literally on places like Manaus and various other islands around the place. They've got or Manus, however you fucking pronounce it. They've got concentration camps for refugees.
Yeah. Yes.
It's still happening.
Right
now,
yes.
right this very second now. Not 1952, not 1860, now.
Mm-hmm.
So what? And not just that. The amazing thing of saying white Australians telling people, the boat people, to go home. How the fuck did you get there?
Yes. Well, it's get there and then pull the ladder up behind you, right?
Exactly.
You don't want other people to have prosperity.
Yeah, it's ours now. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the things I might look at later on in the month, but it's a bit more detailed. A thing called Batman's Treaty. Which is amazing. His name was Batman. That's not made up. That was the name of the fucking dude.
It wasn't Batman. It was Batman.
It was Batman.
Actually, Batman.
It was
Batman.
Literally his name was Batman. And
he didn't even have to try to be Batman because he already was Batman.
He already was. Yes, 150 years before Marvel Comics or DC or whatever the fuck it is came out. Anyway.
Okay.
And he did an ad hoc treaty in what is now basically Melbourne in Victoria, Southern Australia. And the reason it was actually nullified in the end was because by accepting the treaty that Batman had done with the native peoples, that would undermine the claim that Australia had made the year before to literally own all of the land of Australia.
Yeah, because that seems reasonable.
Yeah, they literally just went, oh yeah, we own this now. Yeah, and that's Australian law to this day. They still it's ours. Fuck you. Anyway, is Kristi back yet?
I'm here, but Chrissy's not.
I'm here, but I might have to pop off. I just put the kettle on.
Okay. Well, we'll play.
We'll get kind of awkwardly smiling white lady continues.
We got two white people all building. Let's do this.
Of thousands.
Protection, we called it, but it really involved a raft of repressive legislation. Susan and I have been charting the way that legislation evolved in this dusty collection of old parliamentary papers. All these acts, Western Australia, South Australia, Queensland and so on, have a number of things in common. They decreed where Aboriginal people would live. They displaced them from their traditional lands, and they drove them into missions and reserves managed by white authorities. Protection boards determined where Aboriginal people would work and who could employ them. And it's here we see the first of the stolen generations. From these earliest debates in the Victorian Parliament, Protection Acts progressively assumed more and more control over Aboriginal children.
The white state decided where and how children like John would grow up, not their Aboriginal, or in official parlance, part Aboriginal parents. That very term, part Aboriginal, alerts us to the confused racial ideologies that drove much official thinking. Today in Australia, Aboriginality is defined by Aboriginal people themselves. Under the regime of protection, that choice was made for them. This was a biological as much as a cultural criterion. The black population was defined as full blood, half caste, and so on. This 1936 Act from Western Australia defines a so-called quadroon, a person of only 1/4 Aboriginal blood.
That's a phrase you may hear being used by racists to this day for a mixed race person.
Correct.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
Anyway, the noise went off, so what was that? Thank you to Phil the Bronxite for following on Twitch, which you can also do. It seems wrong. I've been looking for like a point in the video where I could do the shilling, and there's just not going to be an appropriate place at all. So, you know, you can subscribe to me on both YouTube and Twitch, and I'll leave it there.
I mean,
Racial.
I also feel like there should be, it's so neutral.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no moral critique going on here.
No.
There's some occasional nods to like, hey, now things are better. But it's not really kind of putting the impact on what this, you know, maybe it gets a little bit more later, but right now it just feels very sanitized.
It is pretty sanitized, but like I say, the second video is why I put the second video in. It's a person themselves, and it's, yeah, get the tissues out for that one. It's a tearjerker.
Theorists from the 19th century and right into the 20th believed that so-called black stock would weaken over time. Each generation, they said, would become successively more European, and eventually they'd be absorbed altogether, taking Aboriginal children from their families.
Do you see how it's very connected to the way in which the settlers of North America did it as well?
Well, they're just sort of like, it's overtly sort of racial cleansing, I don't know, like ethnic cleansing, but they're trying to racially cleanse a group of people from the earth.
Yeah, indeed.
The government is state power behind it. Yeah. And we're the good guys? What?
Apparently so.
Encouraging the lightest to marry into white communities was the way it was thought to blend together white and black and breed the colour out of them. Assimilation, as eugenicists came to call it, was a program of social and biological engineering. Like earlier protectionist policies, assimilation involved the isolation, the classification, the control of Australia's so-called natives, the forced removal of children, a sustained attack on any cultural practice deemed Aboriginal. White administrators spoke of tribalised and detribalised blacks, the semi-civilised and the savage. In the social Darwinist discourse of the time, Aboriginal people were destined to die out, and the oldest civilisation in the world dismissed as simple and primitive.
Today, we fly the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags. But back in the 1920s, Australia had embarked on a social experiment many would define today as genocide. And we're better to see those policies...
Again, many would define as genocide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe mention, I'm sure that there are international bodies that have declared it genocide.
Oh yeah,
Maybe cite them.
under any vague definition of genocide, this is
not just
genocide.
random people's opinions.
Yeah.
You know.
Like,
Yeah, there was a literal project of let's not have these people anymore.
yeah. And even if we go beyond just the stolen generations, the White Australia policy more broadly, and if you go to what was Van Diemen's Land and is now Tasmania, the island just off the south coast, one of the constituent states of Australia, the wiping out of the Aboriginal people there was literally murder, mass murder, over the course of decades.
Yeah, I was thinking that, the British, the English, of course, had a lot of dry runs at cultural destruction in Scotland and Wales, so...
Yes, we've become quite proficient at it. It's, I don't like this place. I don't know if that's come across on in my content. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted this white woman.
At work, then on the very last frontier of European settlement, Western Australia.
Australia's big, yo.
I'm walking along the banks of the Moore River near Magumba in Western Australia. It's summer, and yesterday the temperature soared to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. These brackish waters behind me flow right through the heart of the Moore River native settlement. From 1917 to 1951, thousands of Aboriginal people were sent to this reserve. They were taken from their traditional lands and communities right across the length and breadth of WA.
Western
Aboriginal
Australia.
people were isolated on the reserve, and within the settlement itself, a strict geography of control served to isolate them from one another. On the riverbank, the so-called Black Camp was set up. It was just a makeshift assembly of tents and tin sheeting. There was no sanitation, no heating, no electricity. This was a place where the least Europeanised of the so-called natives would live. The white managers of this mission believed that black blood and black ways set them apart from the settlement's civilising mission.
So, pause. Sorry, that was a mission?
Yeah, many of these were religious foundations, yeah.
Christianity's evil.
Yeah. Oh, the woman we're going to hear about in a second, she was taken into an orphanage, even though she wasn't an orphan, so she was stolen and raised by nuns. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been trafficking in children for centuries.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
The youngest of the settlement's inmates, plus those considered most receptive to white education, lived here in a place called the Compound. It's on the high ground about 2 kilometres from the river camp. Here too, conditions were primitive. This school hall behind me doubled as a church, a concert hall, and even a hospital. There's little left of the compound today, just the remains of old Nissen huts and rusting agricultural machinery. Boys lived in one dormitory, girls in another. In the bakehouse, kitchen and laundry, girls learnt the domestic skills needed to work in white households. Boys were given equally menial tasks on the settlement's farm, training for future lives as labourers. For all
In
the
poverty.
talk of assimilation into white society or of rescuing children from lives of neglect, the opportunities offered by Moore River were harshly limited. This was a place of overcrowding, hunger and disease. In the classroom, kitchen, church and paddock, part Aboriginal children were taught the white man's virtues of work, discipline and obedience. And around 200 children under the age of 5 would die here.
As a working
So, literally genocide. Murder, basically. Yeah. I mean, there are millions of Australians now who were the product of this system. I don't know how they don't riot. I've said this before about the black inhabitants of America, for instance. I don't know how they don't go mental. The patience of saints.
Well, it takes a mental toll.
Yeah.
That's why black people say, I'm tired. I am so tired.
Yeah.
They're tired of this. They're tired of the psychological terrorism. Yeah.
Indeed.
farm, Moore River, quickly proved a failure. The soil here, really, it's not much better than sand. And once this land had been cleared, it struggled to support an orchard or a vegetable garden. Many of the white managers here were inept, and some of them were very, very cruel. Now, it's true that in the early 20th century, the confinement and beating of children, white and black, wasn't uncommon. But surely nothing can excuse what happened behind these walls. The brutality of Moore River shocked even the white authorities.
At Moore River and 100 places like it, the authorities placed a strict ban on any practice deemed Aboriginal. Speaking the language, as Aboriginal people called it, was forbidden. English, the so-called civilised tongue, was all that was allowed here. Other overt traditional practices such as dances, song and ceremony were viewed with hostility and suspicion. Education and the church could be a source of strength and solace for Aboriginal people. But on settlements like this, it could also be an instrument of dispossession. At Moore River, Aboriginal children were told to live and think like whites, learn the virtues of industry and frugality, adopt the trappings of respectability, but never act above their station. So-called uppity blacks were what the managers couldn't stand. Aboriginal people who assumed equality with white men.
And the powers of the departments...
Sorry. The fact that she was just wandering across that frame, like completely distracted from what she was saying. I felt, again, just why would you have her like just continue to move? Yes, this is a serious moment. Take it seriously.
Yeah. You could just have her sat in one of the pews talking.
Yes.
That would be fine. You'd still say, oh, okay, she's in the church. So that's the place they're at. Okay, that's all you need. You don't need her wandering around like she's on a fucking catwalk. It's really strange.
In the chat says called it her ballet style walk. Yes.
Yeah, she has. She's very hippie. As in she's got like hips. And she knows how to use them.
Take it seriously, Australia.
Thank you to Sophia Christina Botha.
Thanks.
$1 says, just finished streaming about the budget. Yes, go and follow Sophia's stuff. She does more British current affairs-y type stuff, but there's lots of other things in there as well. She's very cool. And streamlabs.com /KFLogan1875 if you want to donate. Again, it feels wrong doing that now when we're talking about genocide, but...
Yeah, also, I mean, I was just also thinking about how mind-blowing it is to try to conceive of the worldview that justified this to themselves.
Yeah.
But also, it makes me really happy to think about if they could be transported into 2020, how their minds would be fucking blown.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was...
They'd probably need a fainting couch.
Oh, no, absolutely. When Melbourne hosted the Olympics in... When was that? 96 or something? No, 2000? I don't know, whenever the fuck it was. And Kathy Freeman, I think she's half Aboriginal or something, but clearly a person of colour, was like she was brought the flame into the event. She was like a long distance runner,
okay.
Australian long distance runner, and she was like the face of the games for White Australia, which, like I say, 30 years earlier, the White Australia policy, it was literally called the White Australia policy. And it was like, as we were discussing about American imperialism, it didn't matter which party got in, White Australia policy was just there. That wasn't debated, right. It wasn't talked about, it was just a thing that was,
carried on.
Yeah.
As white supremacy is.
Yeah, and so when Kathy Grip, 400-metre runner, sorry, not long distance, my bad. And she was like the face of the games, and a kind of symbolically a huge step forward for Australia. Those people would have died of like, oh my God, they're letting a brown person even compete for Australia. Good Lord.
What was that, Chrissy?
There's a tendency for people to be like, and I think this is part of what goes on in Dr. Seuss or Agatha Christie, the idea that, oh, these aren't important. Why are we spending time on them? But it's all important. It's all part of the same racist soup. It's not something that you can extricate. The narrative and the repetition of this narrative that has to go on, writing something for children or drawing something for children. Dr. Seuss was by no means alone. There are Superman cartoons where they were talking about how the Japanese people, they had these racist, the Japanese guy, and you go in and there's an American flag, and then when he thinks the people have left, he turns it over and wahaha, it's the Japanese flag because he's a traitor. Like all these things, they indoctrinate people. This continual repetition. That's one of the things that the right wing really knows how to do, is just hammers. I'm at the point where, if I can't imagine being a person who wants to hear another one of these cancel culture bullshit talks. Like, it makes me want to slap people just hearing the phrase at this point.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just shut up. God. But this repetition of it, and this fear mongering, and this constancy, it doesn't have to be important. It's often better if it's not important, because nobody is going to give a fuck. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to go read the old Dr. Seuss books. They're going to say, oh, well, it's the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, it's a cute little fluffy animal. It's fine. What's wrong with it? It's nice. Yeah, and he's got a black friend that's depicted like a monkey. That's okay.
And probably they don't even remember that part of it. They don't go look at the books.
It's all sort of quite subtle in many respects.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, shall we continue with this absolute soul-destroying nonsense?
Yes, this is just, heart-wrenching.
Disposal, they were formidable. For the best part of 3 decades, A.O. Neville was the chief protector of Aborigines here in Western Australia. Under the Act, he assumed legal custody of all native children. He could order their removal from their families. He selected the lightest and the best behaved for work in white households.
Jesus.
The treatment of adults was equally paternalistic.
Yeah, and not just that.
Paternalistic. It's kidnapping and child trafficking.
Yeah, the idea of like property rights and stuff, and familial rights, that supposedly is the hallmark of like white Western civilization.
Christianity, don't forget.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the family unit, right? You can't interfere with the family unit. It's absolutely key. Apart from when they want to with the black people,
Oh, and apart from the family values people putting people in camps now in the United States. It's only ever a value until they say it isn't.
Yeah.
Until the brown people show up, or the lady people who are being uppity, or the queer people, or whatever,
And can I also just point out how disgusting it is that what they did was, the state created the legal infrastructure, the church organized like the education, and then they filtered them into the capitalist system in jobs that would guarantee they would be in poverty forever because they were never given a proper education.
Yeah, indeed. Don't worry, look, we absolutely know the whitewashing that's going on in this particular video, but the second video will give further context to the story, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that we dunk on like white supremacy and racism that does try to whitewash this shit. That was hard to say.
See, even people who think they can speak English can't really speak it.
Try it.
Wish, wash, wish, wish, wish.
Whitewash this shit.
Neville alone could decide who could marry and to whom. Aboriginal people could not leave the reserve without the manager's permission. Their rations could be withheld. They were not permitted to drink alcohol or to vote. The same police charged with their removal as children were appointed as their protectors. The department also regulated employment. Aboriginal men were farmed out as labourers. They were put to work clearing fields like this or harvesting timber. Those men were paid well below the going rate for whites, and often those wages were withheld. They were placed in trusts they never saw, controlled by the department.
So a nice bit of slavery to add into the mix.
Yeah, this is who got that money then? The government?
Well, yeah, basically.
Yeah, so it is. It's not even like necessarily individuals owning other individuals. This is the state owning an entire group of people and
Well,
then
yeah.
forcing them to work and pocketing their supposed wages.
When you've decided that you have paternity, or you have paternal rights of every single baby born to a group of people, that's, I mean, I don't know how else, that's basically ownership.
There's literally no one to check their power,
Yeah.
you know?
And again, I think one of the reasons that we keep talking about this is it's still happening.
Yeah.
You know it's still happening. And it's still, there's this undercurrent of racism, which is allowing it to happen. There's no way that if the number of white people were in jail as black people, there's no way we would let that go. We would be okay with that.
Yeah, there was an excellent segment for people who can see it. John Oliver tonight did on raids, and there was an analysis of raids, no-knock warrants done in Chicago, and they all were clustered in neighborhoods where there were people of color and none in, the rich areas.
Yeah.
And so if white people got treated by police the way that people of color get treated by police, they wouldn't tolerate it, but they don't. So they don't see the problem because they literally don't see the problem. They aren't the ones experiencing it.
Yeah,
And
well,
so it's easy for them to be in denial.
We had that on our last show, didn't we? The Metropolitan Police couldn't explain why their powers were being predominantly used against people of colour. I think I can explain it. I think I might have a rough idea, you lying bastards. Anyway,
Yeah.
You could escape life under the Act, as Aboriginal people called it. Exemption certificates were granted to Aboriginal people who proved themselves law-abiding and industrious, who achieved acceptance in wider white society, who agreed not to consort with other Aboriginal people. But the privileges of white citizenship were only extended to those prepared to repudiate their Aboriginality. Most Indigenous people held the exemption clauses in contempt. The dog licence, they called it.
But the control that was sought by men like Neville, it was never total and it was never uncontested. At Moore River and reserves like it all across the state, Aboriginal people still spoke the language. They absconded and disobeyed. They kept alive the old ways. They performed the old ceremonies. And they resisted time and time again the attempt by whites to destroy their culture, manage their lives and take away their children. Men like Neville had hoped that segregating and controlling Aboriginal people would achieve what he saw as a civilising mission. It was supposed to destroy the physical and the emotional fabric of their society. But settlements like this also threw Aboriginal people
What's
together
with the music?
and fostered...
What, uplifting piano music now?
Yeah. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. Oh, it has a happy
a
ending,
sense
everyone.
of enduring common identity. So at Moore River today, Aboriginal communities from all across WA are rebuilding their lives. They are reclaiming the years that were stolen from them.
How do you do that?
In 1997, a government-commissioned inquiry recommended compensation and an unreserved apology to the stolen generations.
Yes.
Western Australia, the state responsible for Moore River, was the first state to say sorry.
Okay.
By 2001, all state and territory governments had followed.
Compensation? Compensation?
When a Conservative federal government refused to issue an apology, a sorry movement spread across the country.
Okay, more words, nice.
Communities, white and black, large and small, called on Prime Minister Howard, who was a phenomenally racist chap, to apologise. In 2007, the Australian government finally reached bipartisan consensus. The new Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, issued a formal apology on behalf of the Parliament and the nation.
Okay.
Which we've got video of later. The apology was broadcast live and witnessed by millions.
Where's the money?
It is screened continuously in the Indigenous galleries of the National Museum of Australia. So they're bigging themselves up there, I think.
We apologise.
Anyway, we've got this for later. But basically, that's the story, right?
What about the money?
Oh, they didn't give a fuck about the money. There's no money.
Words are wind. Come on.
Yeah.
Where are the dollars? Aussie dollars. Hand them over. These people experienced trauma. They deserve compensation. Also lost income and everything else that was.
But Kristi, they changed one
easier.
word in the national anthem. What more do they want? They changed because Australia, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, and they changed young to one. Because people who've been there 90,000 years weren't entirely happy about being called new.
Honestly, if they're going to find money to like put on the Olympics, they can give people compensation.
Oh yeah, Australia's rich as fuck, man. Australia's like basically impervious to world downturns because they've got all of the minerals ever. Mm-hmm. Like they've got massive farming and shit. Massive mining. Anyway, so that was like the whitewashed version.
Okay.
This woman, Sheila Humphreys. This is raw.
Introducing
After
Finico
the
Bank,
advert.
the new platform for serious online trading.
Fuck you, advert. I keep forgetting to put the ad block on. I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you always remember during the show.
Yeah.
And then you forget.
It's like you need to buy a new pillow for your bed. You don't think about it until you're in bed, and you're like, oh well, obviously the shops are shut. What the fuck am I going to do? I suppose you could Amazon that shit. Which, by the way, reminds me, if you've got an Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to me for free on Twitch. Shilling has never felt dirtier than today.
Just one real thing. Haruka, stop spamming the chat. I swear to God, I'm going to tell Kevin to take your mod thing away.
What's happening? What's Haruka saying?
Oh, he wants to look at some link, and I told him no, we weren't going to do it earlier, and he's still spamming it.
Yeah, don't fucking spam, Haruka. I don't know what you're spamming, but it's, anyway.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
The story I'm going to tell you today is not a very pretty one. It's about my childhood, thousands of children who've been into orphanages, institutions across Australia. Mum placed me in the orphanage when I was 4 years old at Ninorsia for education. At the age of 8, she removed me and my older sister. She saw that we weren't getting an education. The moment that we left the orphanage, there was a state alert for the West Australian Police to apprehend and arrest us. 8-year-old, 10-year-old, never committed a crime. We were arrested, we were handcuffed, and we were taken back. The only time I can remember being with Mum and Dad is 3 months of my life. 2 years after we were removed, Mum passed on. We were in the laundry working. Reverend Mother came in to call myself and my sister aside. What she said to us, I don't think I ever forgave her. Your mother's dead, get on with your work. This is coming from a so-called Christian person. Many times as a child, I tried to take my life. It was easy. I could have thrown myself down the stairwells. The orphanage wasn't a very nice place to be in. We weren't orphans. We had family. We had Mum and Dad. The reason we were taken away, the colour of our skin. We were placed in that orphanage and forgotten. Now, during my time, there was some 110 girls in the home. We did laundry for the old mission. There were the Aboriginal boys, about 60, 30 nuns, 60 monks, 205 white boys. Now that's a lot of work. We were only children. That work had to be done. Everything had to be ironed, sewn, put them back in the laundry bags and taken back to where it came from on Thursday morning. So we had 3 days to do all that work. There were 5 of us girls ironing. I used to do the ironing. I don't iron today, I chuck my clothes in the dryer. The big machine that we put the sheets through, if the sheets are too damp, the machine will get stuck. So you got to open it up to get the sheets flowing again. My sister put her arm in it to get the sheets. The girl on the other side didn't see her arm in the machine. She closed that machine on her arm. It had taken all of this off. She had one big burn from there all the way down. They didn't take her to a doctor. They sat her outside in the sun for that burn to dry. I used to watch my sister cry. It was so painful. The laundry was part of our everyday life as children. We went to school until we turned 13. From 13, we were in the laundry. A lot of the girls in the home were in their mid-20s, late 20s. There was one girl who stayed in that home for 44 years. She had nowhere to go.
That's slavery at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, what they went out to wasn't any different.
No. You still with us, Chrissie?
I'm here. I'm just sort of processing. It's a lot.
No, that's okay. No, I was just wondering.
But yeah, I'm here.
We did olive picking for the monastery. Take a good look at that picture. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Olives are ripe June, July. Have a good look at what we're wearing. We're kneeling in the wet grass. No jumpers. One little girl got a short sleeve jumper. We suffered with chilblains, stone bruises, abscess, you name it.
No, it was slavery from the whole time. Yeah, sorry, I misspoke.
Never taken to the doctor. Now, we never wore shoes. Only to go to church on Sunday, we were dressed up. The rest of the week, we walked around bare feet. You know, if any of you have been there, it's a very gravel place. We suffered a lot with stone bruises. Because our skin was so hard underneath our feet, they couldn't get a needle in to let the yucky stuff out. When it got infected, what the nuns used was a razor blade to cut away the hard skin. This little children I'm talking about. And then they'd crisscross it. Across on and squeeze all the yuck out. I got a scar in the middle of my foot. I still got it today. One of the girls had an abscess on her breast. They opened that up with a razor blade. The girl fainted. We were never taken to the doctor. I remember 3 girls that were brought down here to Princess Margaret's. We never saw them again. Don't know if they passed away down here or what. We were never told. They talk about putting you in a home so you can learn hygiene. We lived in these clothes that you see in the picture. We had a bath once a week. About 8 or 10 girls bathed in the same water. We put those clothes on. We had a knickers and a dress. That's about it. No shoes. We lived in those clothes from Saturday to Saturday. Unorsia was a very rich farming town. They had a lot of cattle, sheep, piggery, chook run, you name it. They killed about 8 to 10 sheep every day except on a Friday because of the amount of people on the mission. We had a lot of Aboriginal families who lived on the mission too. Our food, if you can call it food, I wouldn't give it to my dog today. We got the scrap meat in the orphanage. We got the heads of the sheep, the flaps, and whatever was scrap meat. Now, summertime, you got the big blowies around. They brought the heads over to us. We had to clean those heads, chop the horns off, wash the maggots off. That went in the pot for our breakfast in the morning. No veggies, sheep head, salt, water. We got a ladle full of that water in our plate, a dry slice of bread and a mug of tea. Fridays, being Catholics, we weren't allowed to eat meat, so we had either had porridge or bread boiled in milk. I looked forward to that. I think that was the nicest meal we got for breakfast. The porridge, weevils and worms right through it. We had to fish all that out. We had nothing to eat. There were many times us kids went to the scrap bin from the nuns to fish out something to eat. Back in my days when I went to school in the 40s, they had the old inkwell and the pen, and of course, as kids, we blotted our paper. Punishment for that, we knelt on the floor in front of the class, both arms outstretched. No, we didn't get the cane. We didn't get the strap. We got a brick, 13 and under, brick on each hand. The nun went around with a sawn-off piece of dowling or a mop handle, broom handle, whatever it was. Now you got a brick there. Someone hitting you here with that stick under your elbows and round on your ankles. Kids walked around with swollen joints for days.
That's torture.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
They'd pick anything up out of the wood heap, the nuns, and flog you with it. I mean, flog you. Mum took us out of there because she saw that we weren't getting that education. Now, education came later on in my life. After I had my children, my firstborn, 1960, I had twin daughters. I was healthy, my children were. I started wondering why I was kept in hospital longer than a few days. I ended up being in there for 2 weeks. Towards the end of 2 weeks, I had 5 visitors by my bedside. Now, when Aboriginal women went into hospital, he didn't go in and was the matron talking, when you leave the hospital. I said, well, I'll be fine. I got a husband there who cares for me. I think it'd be better if we took the children from you. Repeat.
Oh, Kevin,
mother was taken.
looks like you lost the stream. Kevin?
Yeah. Oh.
Looks like you lost the stream. Might be a
0.2%.
copyright thing.
I haven't got
Or
no
is it a
message.
connection thing? Is it a copyright thing?
I don't see any copyright thing going on.
Oh, now people are saying you're back. I'm looking at the chat.
Oh. TED Talks DMCI. I haven't gotten a DMCI message from YouTube.
False alarm, people are saying. You're back now.
Okay. Well, we'll continue.
Just dropped a bit.
Was taken. They wanted to take my twins. Standing beside my bed saying, oh, you're only going to take them home and they'll die. My 2 girls are grandmothers today. I met and married
Pause.
a wonderful
Can you pause it? Apparently it stopped where the line said when Aboriginal women go to hospital, and people are kind of like wondering.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Oh, that was really far back.
Towards the end of 2 weeks, I had 5 visitors by my bedside. After I had my children, my firstborn, 1960, I had twin daughters.
So this is 1960, so not a million years ago.
Yeah.
Healthy, my children were. I started wondering why I was kept in hospital longer than a few days. I ended up being in there for 2 weeks. Towards the end of 2 weeks, I had 5 visitors by my bedside. Now, when Aboriginal women went into hospital, you didn't go in a normal hospital ward, you were out on the veranda. My babies were born in June. I was out on the veranda with louvers on, wind coming through the bottom of the veranda. Okay, these 5 people came to my bedside, and I was wondering what's going on. Okay, I had 2 doctors, a matron, and 2 police officers. We'd like to know how you're going to cope. This is the matron talking. When you leave the hospital. I said, well, I'll be fine. I've got a husband there who cares for me. I think it'd be better if we took the children from you. Repeat. My mother was taken, I was taken. They wanted to take my twins. Standing beside my bed saying, oh, you're only going to take them home and they'll die. My 2 girls are grandmothers today. I met and married.
Point out that, for clarity, June is the middle of winter in Australia. So she was outside with winter wind blowing onto her newly born children. Yeah.
A wonderful man who taught me a different way of living, how to forgive. 1994 saw the year that changed my life. I woke up one morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I have to say, I like the Kenny Rogers do he's got going on.
I was sobbing my heart out, and my late husband said to me, what's the matter with you, Cobb? All I could say to him at that time was, I want my mummy. I want my mummy. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll take you back. Mum's buried in here. I'll take you back tomorrow and we'll go and visit her grave. So we went back the next day, and it was like I was going to a funeral for the first time in my life. A mother whose name I didn't know until 30 years later. Found out her real name. Mother Darling had 9 different names. She was placed in so many institutions, baptized into so many religions, and given so many names. The only name that we knew her by was Chickabiddy. I cried all the way up there and back. When I got home, he said to me, I do believe if you write things down, it will help you. It took me 3 weeks before I can find file and paper. And I started. A lot of people ask me, why do you go and work for these
Oh, you're
very
gone
people
again,
to come here?
apparently. It's buffering.
Oh, I'm not getting any messages from... Yeah, why is it doing this?
And now it's back? Are they messing with you in the chat?
Problem is back. No, it was... No, yeah, the bitrate went down on there.
Oh, okay.
But it's on both, it must be my thing, I think.
Yeah, you're not dropping out for me. The stream's not dropping out, so maybe it's a YouTube thing. Okay, people want you to keep going. Yeah, drop it down, that might help.
Community services, I don't know what they call themselves today. It used to be native welfare during my time. Why do you go and work for these very people? My answer to them was, if I could help one child make it in this world, it'll be worth it all. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Absolutely heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting stuff. And again, this is not ancient history. That was happening in the 1960s.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah.
Well, she was when she recorded this, right? What year is this? 2017?
2017.
Of Top Shop and
Yeah,
Top Mag.
she's... Yeah.
There's a fair chance she's still alive.
Yeah.
And this was, as we said, Kevin Rudd as Prime Minister in 2008.
Today we honour the Indigenous peoples of this land, the oldest continuing cultures in human history. We reflect on their past mistreatment. We reflect in particular on the mistreatment of those who were stolen generations, this blemished chapter in our national history. The time has now come for the nation to turn a new page. A new page in Australia's history by righting the wrongs of the past and so moving forward with confidence to the future. We apologise for the laws and policies of successive parliaments and governments that have inflicted profound grief, suffering and loss on these our fellow Australians. We apologise especially for the removal of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families, their communities and their country. For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, their descendants and for their families left behind, we say sorry.
Kev, your Twitch stream is down?
To the mothers and the fathers,
Oh, for fuck's sake. Why is it... No, it's playing. Yeah, it's...
People in your chat here are saying that the Twitch stream is down. But maybe it's just a rumor.
brothers and the sisters, for the breaking up of families and communities, we say sorry. And for the indignity and degradation thus inflicted on a proud people and a proud culture, we say sorry. We, the Parliament of Australia, respectfully request that this apology be received in the spirit in which it is offered, as part of the healing of the nation. For the future, we take heart, resolving that this new page in the history of our great continent can now be written. We today take this first step by acknowledging the past and laying claim to a future that embraces all Australians. A future where this Parliament resolves that the injustices of the past must never, never happen again. A future where we harness the determination of all Australians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, to close the gap that lies between us and life expectancy, educational achievement and economic opportunity. A future where we embrace the possibility of new solutions to enduring problems where old approaches have failed. A future based on mutual respect, mutual resolve and mutual responsibility. A future where all Australians, whatever their origins, are truly equal partners with equal opportunities and with an equal stake in shaping the next chapter in the history of this great country, Australia.
Can I just say, that sounded like a white guy apology.
Yeah, I was about to say he was saying that whilst literally running concentration camps for migrants. So, along with his conservative forebears and successors as well. So.
Well, what I was thinking more of the fact that he spent very little time on the impact of those laws that he apologized for on people's lives and the sorts of incidents that happened and what they were, and a lot more on like, hey, let's look to the future and let's look to everything where you kind of don't bring this up anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Chrissy, am I wrong?
Oh, no, not at all. They want to be like, yeah, we're really sorry. But going forward that's where we're looking. We're looking at the future. Like, no, I'm afraid it's a little harder than that. It's not just, oops, our bad.
Yeah, that's kind of. But we're cool, right? We're cool now. I said sorry, so we're cool now.
Yeah. But anyway, that's Stolen Generations. I wish I had some sort of appropriate way of making that seem not shit, but there isn't one. So.
I want to talk a little bit about
white people are
scientific
fucky.
racism.
Yeah, Chrissy, let's talk a little bit about scientific racism.
Because it's still a thing, and I just, coming off of this, I want to reiterate to anybody who hears, oh yeah, we need to teach the controversy, or what about this, or let's talk about that. They tried so hard to make scientific racism a thing. You have no idea how much money, how much time, how many people spent their lives. There were laws, there were universities going into it. They tried so hard to make white people, to prove that white people were superior somehow.
Mm-hmm.
They were absolutely invested full on in that project.
And not just that, of course, but as we saw from Benjamin Franklin in what is now an oft-cited meme on this show, that it was only people of Britain, and he thought Saxony in Germany, naturally, were white. So it was a certain type of whiteness, like the Irish. They're not white enough. The Swedes weren't white enough, mad.
So if you hear people talking about, oh, it's only because of political correctness. No, white people aren't that nice, okay?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
We aren't going to just be nice, about that. If white people could have proven their superiority, they would have done it a long time ago and run with it. The fact is, it ain't there. It's not there. It's a load of shit. It's a complete and total load of shit. And it's just as racist today as it ever was. And this is the shit they want to bring back.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we cannot let them.
Can I build on that? Because I had this idea for a meme just to kind of illustrate the point. But, basically, history until about 1960 was white, the panel would be white guys telling all women and all people of color, no, you can't get an education, you can't contribute to literature, art, science, politics. And then for centuries, it's just dominated by this one group because they exclude everybody else. And now racist people today look at throughout history, it's always white people who are coming up with the ideas. But that's because they didn't let anybody else. It's not because you're intellectually superior.
Yeah.
That's
Also, I would suggest if they want an absolute perfect example that white superiority isn't really a thing, he's on screen right now. Just saying.
Is that you, Kev?
That's me. That's self-deprecation. And me being anti-white people. Specifically this white person.
Was there a Gritty toward the end of that?
Possibly. I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, Chrisiousity, you're more than welcome to stay for the bookmarks, but they won't be necessarily of interest to you, so you can stay if you want, or you can fuck off, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to say I saw, and I didn't catch a lot of the chat, but I did see somebody mentioning that I had used blind in a bad way, or in an offhand comment, being blind to something in a bad way, and I apologize for that.
No, my chat is full of woke scolds, so
that's all right. Scold away.
Typical fucking SJW cancel culture bastards. I invite a friend on the show and you embarrass me. No, I'm only joking. That's cool. I don't give a fuck. Yes, Sophia with another $1. Thank you very much. Says, I think I'm supposed to be talking of white racists. Have you heard Alex Jones's regrets meeting Donald Trump and Roger Stone? I did. I covered it on my Twitch Tuesday last night. It's very funny.
Kevin gets offended if you don't watch every minute of everything he streams.
No, I get offended when you don't. Just you, Chris.
Just me.
Yeah.
Just me.
Anyway, so bookmark time. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we ended with this last time. Worth playing again.
Is it... By the way, is it just me, Chrissy, or does Kevin's sound occasionally, like, get a bit boxy?
Well, like the old YouTuber.
No, not like the old YouTuber. I don't know, sometimes your mic is perfect, and then other times it doesn't matter.
Is that when I go like that and I walk?
Yes.
Because I move slightly away from the microphone.
Yeah, don't do that. But don't
I'm
get
fidgety.
So close. Yeah, you need to, like, stop.
Anyway.
Be professional.
So,
do it with your feet.
There are some fun ones coming up, I assure you. We're going to have some fun with the bookmarks. But this one is another white people are shit type deal, because it's the British government who are white. Anyway,
okay.
Yes, the Yemen conflict ongoing. We're still selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, naturally. But also, there's been a conference this week about trying to, like, maybe sort that situation out. Maybe, like, we feel like Saudi Arabia's done enough genocide, maybe call it a day sort of thing. The British government decided to cut the relief they're offering to Yemen by 60%. So we're giving less than half of the virtually nothing we were already giving them.
Yeah.
Britain is a bad place.
Yemen is, we don't talk about it enough. Yemen is the amount of horrible that is happening there. We can't necessarily get in there to show the pictures and bring the videos and all of those things, but we know full well that the whole country is suffering just incredibly, and children are dying and people are dying. Just
it's genocide, no doubt about it.
Complete fucking horror show, and we're just gonna keep kissing Saudi Arabia's ass like that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but onto something less horrific. Palate cleanser for you all.
Yay, funny.
Stretchy rabbit.
Stretchy?
Oh, did a big stretch. Yeah, big stretch. Good stuff. Quality.
Apparently stretching is universal, at least with mammals.
Indeed. What's this? Britain's government aren't even taking care of the white people either. What a condemnation. They failed to even track the person suspected of having the Brazilian variant of the virus, quote, because he didn't fill in the form properly. So, we're literally relying on the people coming in to tell us the thing.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's a very much like a dark humor, like almost like this is beyond ridiculous parody
this
of
is
life.
It's almost like they're really, really good at being incompetent. Like they're actively trying to do incompetence now.
Like, when I go through customs, I have to hand in a form and someone looks at it and they ask me, oh, so, you're a social researcher. Oh, why are you in the UK? They have to read it, make sure I filled it out correctly, or I have to go to the back of the line. Like, it's not like these skills are rare.
Yeah, I suppose, well, we wouldn't want people catching education. COVID's fine. COVID can spread like wildfire, but education, no, can't be having that. Especially women being educated, good lord.
Yeah.
They'll want the vote next.
To the end of society. Yeah.
Be outrageous. Anyway, oh God. Having done a joke about women voting, someone who probably shouldn't have the vote because she's full of shit. Crystal Ball!
Now what?
Oh, just a bit of hypocrisy. Biden silent on Amazon Union Drive.
That's not true.
That was from February the 26th, Christie, please.
Oh, okay.
After claiming to be a union man, right? He then comes out and says, they should be allowed to unionize. Right?
Yeah.
Biden issues lukewarm support for Amazon Union Drive. Oh, fucking end, mate. What do you expect him to say? Yay, man the barricades, comrades. No, he's not. He's just going to say, like, that unions are legal, so that's a thing. Don't be pricks about it. What did you expect?
And also, when was the last time a president spoke up for unions?
1954.
Probably.
Oh, Dave Rubin, please run for the governor of California. That would be amazing.
I should say a formation of a union.
Yeah.
Oh
just
my
unions.
God. Oh, please do it. Just do it.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Anyway, I will say one other thing on the recall situation. I am not completely ruling out a run for governor. David and I had a long talk about it. this past weekend, and my main thing is, why would I want to do it? Like I get why someone like me should probably run, and I would, as I said before, I would run.
Someone like me.
Whatever Newsom says, we're going to reverse it, right? And we're going to cut budgets for everything. We're going to cut taxes for everything.
Someone like
You
me.
destroy civilization.
A shit-tier YouTuber. Yeah, someone like you should definitely be governor of California, of a massive economy.
What an ego. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, of all the things to say, I get, someone like me should run for governor.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I'm, well known for my high-level ideas.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we
All right,
need.
because-
High-level ideas in the fucking State House. It needs to happen now, Dave.
As if we don't have enough subpar, like conservative white guys running state legislative or executive branch offices now.
Also, enjoy explaining to the people of California while you've been celebrating people leaving California for Texas and Tennessee and stuff. I'm sure they'll absolutely adore you for that.
Chrissy, were you going to say something?
I can imagine the, if he ran, the sort of the clips that people would dig up from him, it would just be, oh my God.
Oh, I'm suddenly having this urge of going, do it.
Yeah, he
Do
does.
it.
Please, Dave. Just like when Carl ran.
Do it.
Please run. You've got no chance, and you're going to embarrass yourself, and you're going to get international press as this dipshit's running in California. You're going to be the "and finally" bit. You know what I mean? Like. Anyway, thank you to Juicy Jake Shake, $5, says, thank you for all the content you do. Hope you're having a great day. I am having a great day, apart from having to research and then rewatch stuff about genocide. That's not quite so great, but other than that.
If I can just pipe up on that, because I have a colleague who works in human rights, like her research is in human rights, and the emotional stress of, studying that topic. It's not something I really thought about, but she said, she's already it can become emotionally overwhelming when you have to read and analyze these things and understand them.
I had a moment when I was doing the Coach Red Pill episode of The Descent of Manosphere. As part of that, he was like saying, the Pinochet regime in Chile was fine. So I looked into it. I knew he was wrong, but I needed to know exactly how he was wrong so I could put it in. So I read the Truth and Reconciliation Committee report, and the descriptions of torture and stuff were so graphic, understandably. And I got so angry I had to just not work on it for like a fortnight. I couldn't go back to it. I genuinely thought, do I even want to do this anymore if it's going to fucking kill me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, hats off to her, because that work needs to be done. Like, people need to understand and process, and also teach this, human rights stuff and doing research in the university, so we can keep monitoring things and keep exposing things. But the emotional toll. I mean, as a political scientist, I look at survey data, but it doesn't, other than occasionally, depress me. I have a walk in the park emotionally compared to her. Anyway.
Thank you for the $5 donation. But you started a conversation that. We've taken a conversation about Dave Rubin being silly and made it depressing. So that's on you, really.
Yeah, I guess overarch these racist white people things are, they're good, but they're a bit of a downer.
Anyway, racist white person, Dave Rubin.
We're going to get the government out of everybody's lives, like all of that stuff. But my main thing, the idea that it would be 4 a.m. and I'd be sleeping, and it's like Tuesday morning at 4 a.m. and the phone rings, and Mr. Governor, there's been an earthquake, and it's like, or Mr. Governor, there's a problem with the, what do you want me to do? That would be, maybe that would be my campaign slogan.
My God.
Dave Rubin, what do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? Yes, run. Please
There's been
run.
an earthquake.
Oh my God.
Oh, you woke me up about a fucking earthquake. Fuck off. Boom. Phone down.
What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah. He's taken the Texas model and thought, I can be even less good for my citizens. Fuck them. Earthquake, ring someone else, cunts. Boom.
Yeah. This sort of the idea that someone gets into public service to serve the public.
Yeah.
No, it's just what do you want from me?
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. You couldn't have waited until a decent hour. This is outrageous. Good day.
Can't the National Guard order themselves out?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, this is the Republican thing, and I don't know where. it's mind-boggling. I'm sorry, but it's like CPAC had nothing in terms of a platform. There was nothing going on. I think that's the entire Republican thing right now is what the hell do you want me to do about it?
Yeah. And who can be more loyal to Trump?
Yeah.
Basically.
It's like I could kiss Trump's ass, but I don't want to have to come up with an idea or something.
How about I just go to Cancun? How about that?
Yeah.
That was
sure you'll be
basically
fine.
Ted Cruz was, what do you want me to do about it? I mean, that's basically it was his take.
Also, again, I want him now to run just so someone could pull him up at a debate. Did you say, if they ring me at 4 a.m. and tell me there's been an earthquake in San Francisco, I'm going to say, what do you want me to do about it? Yeah.
I hate the idea that I'll be woken up in the night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vote
so
Rubin 2021. Fuck the people of California. Yay!
Because I need a lion.
Exactly, yeah. If they'd rung me about midday after I had my coffee and a bit of brunch, yeah, maybe I'll do some shit. But 4 a.m, like, even a governor has to clock off. Come on now, people. It's outrageous.
Oh. Kevin, do you guys remember brunch?
Yeah.
Remember brunch?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, I'm
brunch.
not even getting paid time and a half to do stuff at 4 a.m. This is outrageous behaviour. What do you want me to fucking do about it? Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. What's that? Your house has crumbled. So what? Pull yourself up by your own crumbly bootstraps.
I'm not here to do stuff. I'm here to collect a paycheck. Fuck off.
The government isn't here to help you. The government is here to pretend. Okay?
Yeah, and I cash your checks. I cash the checks.
Because I don't know that I really want to do it. But what I will do, I promise you, I am going to stay in California at least as long as it takes to get rid of Gavin Newsom.
Wow, good stuff. Look, I have no idea if Gavin Newsom's an absolute prick or not, whatever. I don't really care. But if your only political goal is, I don't really want to be governor, but as long as it's not that dude. Like,
I don't even want to be in the state, really.
Yeah.
I'm just willing to stay until he's gone. I hate him that much.
That's pretty much their thing. It's just not them, not the squad, not Bernie, not fill in the blank. That's all they have.
Yeah. But basically, yeah. Now this one, it's just funny because you know it's a lie, but also one little grammatical error is annoying me. Tommy Lauren, otherwise known as basically any other name because it's funny to get her name wrong, says, my 15 minutes has miraculously lasted 7 years and counting, which is also miraculous for someone who has, quote, no resume. Keep hating haters. I'll stop you there, Tom. It should be keep hating, comma, haters. Because what you've written is that you want people to keep hating haters, which is not what you intended to write.
Some people are all about the base, but Kevin's all about that comma.
Exactly. It's a very simple and effective piece of grammatical signage, whatever, in English. Fucking use it properly. It will help you enormously.
I'll write a sentence and I'll go back and would Kevin yell at me for not using a comma?
Exactly. What would Kevin do?
How would Kevin comma?
Those bracelets need to happen. Anyway, this area is under 24-hour surveillance. Cat.
Cat face.
Is that on the screen? That is on the screen. Lovely stuff.
Apparently that cat has a gun. Oh no, that's a video camera.
This cat has a gun.
Oh.
Well, their number is double pause 7. So.
Oh, Christie, get out. Oh yeah, this perfectly sums it up. 87% of scientists say human activity is driven by global warming. Candace Owens replies, yeah, I don't believe them. Just, when faced with reality, just deny.
Yeah.
Fuck
just
me.
Amazing.
The intellectual prowess of the right is just, it's off the charts.
When you come up against empirical reality, empirical reality will win. Just not liking it isn't going to change it. And not believing it's true won't stop it. It's idiotic.
No, they'll be paddling around at the top of Mount Everest as the waters rise, just going, nah, it's fine.
Yes, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, the The spunkpocalypse is the new talking point from Tucker here.
Is this come back to like soy again?
I'm not sure.
Is this the new version of that?
But on the day where there was ongoing hearings into the January 6th whatnots and votes in the Senate about the fucking COVID relief bills and all this kind of stuff going on, Tucker's got the big story. Falling sperm count is a threat to humanity.
How?
I don't know.
How? How?
But all I can say is I'm glad that Tucker saw this coming. Coming. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
I got you. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, by the way, Blue Jay Rhodes in the chat has a suggestion for why this might be happening.
What?
Maybe skinny jeans?
Yeah, squashing your bollocks, yeah.
And we have plenty of people. Like, if we stop growing as fast as we are, that's not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously, it's not a problem.
But I'll tell you what is a problem. How cute these two otters are.
Oh, let's see. Oh, that is. Look at them posing. They are on the runway, those two.
Absolute legendary activity.
All right, but excuse me, Mr. Otters? No. Stop it with your weasel erasure.
Yeah,
are they weasels?
Baby weasels.
Oh, but it says there, baby. Sorry, yeah, I should have read. Okay, well, look, I'm gonna put this out there. Otters and weasels are the same fucking thing. They're just pretending.
Well, I have to say, I couldn't. You said it, and I didn't catch the difference.
Exactly.
I'm not saying they look alike, but they kind of look alike.
They look a hell of a lot alike. They're just pretending. I think it's scientists get paid per species, and they're just separating them off like the.
I think of weasels being longer. They look like kind of packaged.
Well, they're babies.
They're just babies.
Baby weasels look like otters, apparently.
Apparently, that's.
I don't know what this is, but it's scary.
What?
Bathe in my milk.
What?
Offer open to men only. Soy
maybe don't
almond. Christie. Soy almond or traditional. Use my sponge. I will watch you.
I mean.
What the?
Wow, that's a great composition. You might have just framed that down just to really get the full effect of the toilet and the sink and the curtains.
Yeah, that's
so horrifying. It's so dirty.
It's what is
crop it at least in the towel. Oh my god.
What?
I'm dead.
Every fucking pixel of this image is creepy. There's not a single element of this that isn't. Why is her fucking dress dirty? What is going on in this house?
Why is there a rope? There's a rope.
There is a fucking massive rope. Everything's covered in shit. The wallpaper's falling off. What? This is
if you dropped this in as a D&D background, Chrisiousity, I would think we were doing a horror movie.
Oh my god.
Look how dirty the bath. What the fuck is going on here?
And that poor man with his horrified look on his face, like, what am I doing here?
But he must have gone to the website. This is a website. Was it,
I think she dragged him in there with the rope.
Schedule an appointment at bathinmymilk.com.
Or cow.
It's so fucking creepy, man. Yeah, I'll retweet that.
You can have
for
almond
you.
milk, soy milk, or traditional milk.
Or traditional milk, which is what? That's just
is that
cow
cow
tit milk.
Or
Also, what kind of milk is this? Because look how watery that is. Is she watering down? Is she cheating these people by watering down her milk? She's cutting her milk with H2O.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to think, like, who took this picture, and then the group of people who looked at it went, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
I
Put
don't know,
that
but
on
I
the internet.
assume the authorities will be looking for that person as a person of interest in investigation soon. When they find the fucking bodies. Anyway.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's quite something. What's this? The online right's currently fighting about whether or not gays are okay, apparently.
Right, because what, like, people like Milo now, some people like him, and so they're getting, oh my gay, maybe homophobia isn't that cool.
Yeah. So just to make it clear, you don't want gay conservatives in the Republican Party, and Lauren Witzke says, "Did I stutter?" Yeah. Okay. So they don't want the gays. What's this? It should be illegal for adoption agencies to place a child in anything but a stable mother-father home. Is that cancel culture?
What?
That seems a bit cancel culture tonight.
Yeah, Matt Walsh was a POS.
Oh, the real Bryson Gray, the rapper. God's word says gay people should be put to death, so if we're going to bring up his word, we better not miss. So that's just him saying we should execute gay people.
Also, the same thing happens to people who commit adultery.
Yeah, I know, but Donald Trump.
Are you a virgin? Like you want to start. If you want to start pulling out biblical verses about what you can get killed over, let's pull out adultery because it's way more prevalent in in the heterosexual community because there's more of us.
Indeed.
Or you could, pull up about wearing mixed fibers. Are you kidding? Anything could get you killed in the Bible.
Yeah, if you read the Bible, if we actually went by biblical law, there'd be no people left.
Yes.
Just whoever the last executioner was would have to kill themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like
everybody just killing everybody else for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Just oh my God, he sneezed. Shoot him.
Yeah.
Stone him.
Was it boiling an ox in her mother's milk? That's just weird. We've had a lot of milk weirdness. That's a lot of strange. Thank you
I blame you, Kevin.
Juicy Jake Shack for subscribing with Prime. Thank you very much.
By the way, someone actually put the link to the milk.com lady in the chat.
Do we dare look at it?
Those who...
Okay, we'll do this. Fuck it. We're going to look at weird milk lady. If this ends up with me in a bath of milk as some sort of prank or something.
That would be so amazing. Oh, I'd be so proud.
I'm not getting in that dirty ass bath. Weird. Fuck that. That's so disgusting.
Yeah, you're already anti-bath before milk gets poured
it's
into.
already got my own ass water in there. I don't want her dirty, weird milk water. Where is it? I can't see the...
Kevin is fanatically anti-Lacegar.
Not Oh, what on earth? What is... It's just pictures. Who are these men and where have they gone?
Is she resting her hand on toilet paper?
I think so. Also, how uneven is this fucking bath? Look where the water line is. Is she on a hill?
All right, the straights are not okay. That's what we have to say about this.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
Not okay.
There's not a carpet or linoleum or anything.
No. You can let's analyze this picture a little bit. First, let's ignore everything except the guy because this is that's a nice picture. You just crop out everything around him. Yeah.
Oh, so Christie's getting thirsty over milk pictures now.
But I hope that is a shadow in the upper left-hand corner of the tub there, not grime.
No, that's grime.
No, it's
all of this
grime.
is dirt. Look how dirty everything is. That's dirt.
No, parts of it are white. But
parts of it are white. Christie, what kind of judgment of grime is that? Well, parts of it don't have grime on it.
I wasn't really looking at that for most of the time. We've had the picture on screen.
And she's wearing the exact same grungy, disgusting nightgown in every one of these. Was this all taken on the same day? She just filled it up and said,
"Look at that face. That is not a face of a person who wants to be there."
What is going on with his chest hair?
Oh, this is just all manner of... She's in the fucking window on that one.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Oh, that gave me genuine shivers when I saw her looking in the window. Is she outside?
Yes.
Oh, this is so creepy. Hang on. Is that a mirror? I can't even tell what the... Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There's...
So, is that a mirror? Go back up. Was she in the mirror in that one? Oh, okay. That's still fucking creepy.
Yeah, but look at the angle. She'd have to be in the wall. How would that work? Oh, God.
Oh, keep going.
This is like they're trying to fuck with our heads. Why does she have cleaner and yet nothing is clean?
Why do you have the toilet cover up? Why do you?
I still want to know what the rope is there for. It's in every picture.
And then the only thing, so it's just pictures, and then the only thing, is that on the screen? It is not, I'll put it up. It says, if interested, please email me right away. True Wagner. Mental health awareness, choose your membership level. What? Is this a meme?
I don't know what this is.
But where the link goes.
Oh, weird.
True Wagner. So is it like an expired thing then, presumably, or something? Because oh my god, I'm very creeped out now. I'm genuinely, my brain is frazzled.
You never know what's going to happen in a happy hour.
None of that. Genuinely, I'm slightly befuddled now. I don't know what to do.
I'm highly amused.
I'm scared.
Yeah,
Straight people need to
afraid
end.
that some old lady is going to come tie me up and put me in a dirty tub.
Yeah.
With a nasty ass toilet.
And then take pictures, and I'm going to go, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's going to be in my nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Then I'm gonna have a nightmare about Kevin in the tub. It's gonna be worse. I don't know.
That's what you need.
Anyway, moving on. The difference in the networks and what they were covering yesterday. So you've got CNN covering the terrorism thing.
Yeah.
And MSNBC covering the terrorism thing. Fox was covering Dr. Seuss.
Well, yeah.
I wonder why.
News of the day.
Because of course.
I wonder why.
Because of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We upset white people.
Yeah. Indeed. Also, is that Thanos?
Although I bet he would do an amazing Thanos.
That's Thanos
I could
right
see
there.
that.
That's Thanos in his fucking like downtime wear.
With his baseball cap on
Yeah, exactly.
backwards.
Yeah. This is I've clocked off for the night.
Negro League. I don't.
Yeah, that's presumably a baseball
The baseball Negro
shirt
League.
thing.
Yeah.
But because that's acceptable, apparently.
Well, what is he?
Well, there is the Negro League Museum in Kansas City.
I'm just wondering what he has to do with Dr. Seuss.
Nothing.
Okay.
He's just Tyrus. He's called Tyrus, and he's a Fox Nation host.
Yeah, if anyone wants to learn more about the segregated sports of early America, of course, a great source is Ken Burns' baseball documentary. But you can also just find it by Googling it on YouTube.
Indeed. That might be an interesting racist white people history month bit. Just a thought. Anyway.
Yeah, who would?
Oh,
That's, when it's wet, you'll never guess how fluffy though.
That is not a dog. That I don't even. What was it? There was a creature that looked like this, but it rolled.
I think you're talking about that dark crystal.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's a baby cousin it from the Addams Family.
It is cute as buttons.
It's
Are
Captain
buttons cute?
Caveman as a dog.
I could see that.
God,
I
I'm
can see that.
old. I'm so old. Oh yeah, the RNC lawyer saying that
Tribble.
GOP was injured electorally if it did not racially discriminate in voting. So, fun
Yeah,
times.
they don't quite understand this whole democracy thing. That
Oh no, they
one
do.
person, one vote.
They understand it very well. They just don't like it.
They're afraid of it because they'll lose.
A tribble. Yes, it looks like a tribble.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the dog again. Anyway, yeah, I got cancelled.
What?
I've been cancelled.
By whom?
Because I left the left. This is
Oh yeah, I saw. What was the stream about?
hang on. Fuck the Democrats. Are gay people even real? Homosexuality is made of cheese. Trans people? Oh. Fuck the... that was clipped from a stream I did yesterday, and that was me doing a bit about Dave Rubin. That was me being hilariously Dave Rubin. So someone clipped that, and yeah, I expect my my check from the Koch brother, the one that's left.
Yeah.
Lol. Anytime soon. Yeah, is there any reason as to why Josh Hawley would be so interested in the cell phone data from January the 6th?
Yes. I wonder why.
Never mind. You said that you're using the relevant authorities. What authorities are they?
Well, we have various forms of legal process we can serve on companies that will allow us to get access.
And that's been done?
Well, we're using a lot of legal process in connection with the investigation, so yes.
But specifically serving process on companies invoking your various legal powers to get data from companies, that's been done in the case of gathering this data?
In gathering metadata, again, I don't know the specifics, but I feel confident that has happened because metadata is often something that we look at, and we have a variety of legal tools that allow us to do.
When he's so obviously a compromised figure, why is he even allowed here?
Yeah, well, what he's saying is, do you have my number?
Yeah,
Christopher, can you just tell me, or call me because you'll have it?
Yeah, that's basically the deal.
Yep.
Pig cat on a laptop. Pig cat.
Pig cat. He's a pig cat.
He hasn't been around for a while, but there we go, pig cat. And bonus beans. Good.
Yeah.
This is quite nice. Dolly gets a dose of her own medicine. Because remember she gave $1 million to the study that made the medicine, so she got a shot. Nice.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you got it, but Biden announced that initially he had announced that they were hoping to have all the vaccines out by July, but he says now they're on schedule to have it out by May. He's been in office for less than 2 months, and he sorted this shit out. And Trump had how long to get the stuff organized?
Nearly a year.
Yeah.
Well, if you actually do something...
Yeah, it makes so much difference.
Yeah, competent governments isn't that difficult, actually.
Yeah, I'm really not getting any better for my marathon. I mean, I don't leave the house or exercise at all, but, yeah.
Indeed. Oh, beautiful. Why is a song called Wet Ass Pussy not considered inappropriate, but Dr. Seuss is? Also, I like the fact she's literally called Chris Bish. I don't need to say it.
Yep.
Yeah, nonsense. Yeah, one's for adults, one is not for adults.
And one is not for children or adults or anyone. Yeah.
Indeed.
If you're a good and moral person who believes in human dignity.
So you remember earlier we were talking about the right don't like gays and stuff? Matt Walsh, who was one of the moralisers there, who was cancelling gay people, says,
yes,
Martin Luther King Jr. is getting cancelled eventually. Mark my words. It's happening. I give it a year, maybe 2. The guy was a misogynist womanizer, etc. His time will come. Everyone's time will come. And that's interesting because Matt Walsh has literally tried to cancel MLK. So,
yep.
Yeah, you were certainly...
Hypocrite.
You've been trying, Matt, haven't you? Yeah. Fuck yourself. What's
the
this?
internet remembers.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, the March the 4th, which is tomorrow.
Yes, that's the real day, Kevin.
That's the new real day, the QAnon thing.
Trust the plan.
Yeah, because it was historically the handover would happen on March the 4th because travelling, the president had to go from California to Washington D.C. That would take a month or whatever.
No. This was at the founding when there were still only 13 colonies. But still, if you had to move up to, I think it was New York or Philadelphia.
Well, no, but that's why it was kept, even though they had better transportation and things. It was around for quite a while, wasn't it? Till the Second World War.
Probably till the railroads. Yeah. Oh, Second World War only?
I think it was. Yeah.
I'll check.
This is like the new Rapture, where we just get endless. No, it'll be this date. Oops, no, this date. Yeah. Oops, no, this date. You're still believing this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got it right this time.
For sure. I did the math wrong the last time. This time is right.
This is one of the worst pieces of medical nonsense and mathematics.
Okay.
The CDC says only 31% of men and 65% of women wash their hands after using the restroom. So this superbrain genius puts those numbers together and says, so 96% total.
No, it's more like less than half total.
Oh my god! And look at the pro surfer guy. No, really?
By the way, the date of the inauguration was moved to January 20th with the passage of the 20th Amendment in 1933.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
no, yeah. So QAnon people think it's going to be the march before. It is. It isn't. It's over. Give it a rest.
Yeah, it's been over.
Yeah.
It's been over for a long time.
Yeah, this was quite nice. Something to follow if you want to. This guy goes around Prague in the Czech Republic, taking care of the Holocaust memorial plaques and stuff that they've got on the
Stolperstein.
Yeah, they've got those on the floors and stuff. The sidewalks and stuff. And
sorry, I have to pronounce it correctly. The Stolpersteine. Yes.
Yeah, them
sorry,
ones. Them ones. Anyway, so yeah, go. I've just retweeted that dude. Go and follow him and support his work. Awesome.
Yes. It's considered to be possibly one of the largest art installations in the world because it spans several countries.
Indeed.
That project. So it's nice that he's doing the upkeep in Prague.
Yeah. Another person here. Just remember that Cardi B's WAP was NPR's Song of the Year, but Dr. Seuss books a reference. But NPR haven't banned anything. What are you talking about?
What? NPR's Song of the Year? Really?
Yeah, that's. To be fair, it was a cultural moment.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just a little, like, it doesn't really seem to fit with my idea of the very white-collar NPR audience.
Sure. But things are changing, as we've seen. Then we've got a tweet from someone called Christie. Don't know who she is. Anyway.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this wasn't... This is genuinely true. This isn't a parody. This isn't a joke. This book exists. And if someone has a free copy of it, please send it to me. Savage Messiah, how Dr. Jordan Peterson is saving Western civilization.
This was amazing. When you read through this...
With a foreword by Dennis Prager as well, which is just extra levels of derp.
I mean, it's basically about how Jordan Peterson very nearly became a school shooter, I think. It's like, it keeps talking about how he was like thinking about all the people he could kill. And I like, what?
Oh, thank
the
you
whole way down.
to Feminist Critique for following. By the way, go and subscribe to Feminist Critique on, or follow at least anyway, on Twitch. They're very good. If you like your leftisms and your feminisms, that's the place to go.
And definitely was. Cardi B dropped exactly one song this year, but after WAP, any more might have been overkill. Raunchy, fun, and infinitely quotable, she joins Megan Thee Stallion for a shameless ode to, well, wet ass. Yeah, go NPR.
Yeah,
that's pretty edgy for boomers.
Yeah. See, the white people are trying. Some of them are really trying. You can still tell it was white people shit, but raunchy and wild, absolutely sensational from the Cardi B's, you know.
Yeah, it's got a good beat and I can dance to it.
Exactly. I don't understand all of the ethnic words, but you know, it's a good bop. Yeah. Thank you to Dark Donzoni who gifted a sub to Feminist Critique. There you go. Thank you. Yes, generous and delicious. Anyway, yes, someone wanted to alligator zoomies or gator, yeah.
Peter.
Oh my gosh.
Here you go.
That's terrifying.
Peter. Come here, girl.
Oh, look at Doug.
Excellent camera work, I have to say.
Yeah, true. This is quite nice. A UK train was delayed because it had a cat on top of it and it wouldn't move.
I love that. Cats rule the world.
Yeah, that cat's like, I'm not fucking good. Look how high up I am. It's amazing. Why the fuck would I move? Dickheads. Anyway. Oh, God. Jordan Peterson. That notorious racist Dr. Seuss is unfairly oppressing my new book order, new book Beyond Order to number 12 in the Amazon list. Blah, blah, blah. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
If you're if you're doing cancel, shut the fuck up. You literally wanted to do a fucking list of Marxist professors.
Yep.
You weird fucking McCarthyite scumbag.
Pretty much.
It needs to be said that if you actually look at who's banning books, it's conservatives, especially children's books. It's just ridiculous. They're the ones actually going out and complaining if there's a gay person book where my children might see it. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine, like, if gay people and trans people acted like straight and cis people when they freak out? Like, oh my gosh, look at this. You know, there are heterosexual people in this book. What if my child were to see this?
I think that would be
Yeah,
fair.
it's as ridiculous.
Heterosexual people are disgusting and they're against God and they're going to burn in the fiery pits of hell forever. So I think that would be a fair reaction, to be honest.
They're out bathing in milk now. It's great.
Yeah, it's very strange people. Thankfully, there are no heterosexuals in this room, though. Thank fuck. Good lord. Oh, God. When you take the right being shit and you be shit on top of it. Governor Abbott of Texas is a human scum. And it says, no more mask mandate. They're just going to go raw dog with the coronavirus. So, R.I.P. all of Texas. Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, basically. Can I just say, and get in on that, he basically, Biden announced the move up date to May for rolling out the vaccination, and Abbott was like, okay, well, the vaccinations are coming, so, hey, masks off in 10 days, everybody, with all these new variants around, because if you want to go to a job and die for it, you should have the right to do that. Like, what are you talking about? You want people to die. You already had a bunch of people die because of your Republican incompetence. And you want this to be the next thing people die over? Is that your distraction from your last fatal fuck up? Like, I don't understand the thinking here.
I absolutely agree. It's disgusting. But Keith Olbermann makes it worse when he says, why are we wasting vaccinations on Texas?
Fuck off.
Texas has decided to join the side of the virus.
Because not everybody is white and rich and has protection, Keith Olbermann. Come on, stop being such a white guy.
That's some proper ridiculous, I don't even know where to begin with how kind of evil that is when you actually break it down. And I'm sure he's just reacting angrily or whatever, but you're a public figure. You've got to have a bit more about you than that.
Well, if he would have said wasting vaccinations on Greg Abbott, I would have been like, okay, that's fair. Yeah. But still, now why punish the people of Texas, especially the ones who didn't vote for him?
Yeah, there are tens of millions. Well, not 10. I don't even know how big it is, but there are millions of people in Texas who A, didn't vote for Abbott, and B, don't support this move. Mm-hmm. And even if they do, a difference of political opinion should not mean, oh, fuck you, you get to die.
Yeah, precisely.
It's just gross.
Yeah, it's basically 90s edgelord talk.
Yeah.
Still.
Thank you to, I don't even know how to, this is either Mrs. Antasir or Mr. Santasir. Whichever that is, thank you for following.
It's probably Mr. Santa Sir.
Mr. Santasir, yeah, probably. But just choose an easier to pronounce name for me, or capitalise the start of each name.
Can you do underscores? There's some underscores in
there. Exactly, it's easy. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. But thank you for following. Yeah, we talked about how weird religion is in terms of its genocidal shit, but sometimes it's just creepy. As we see here, this is the skull of Mary Magdalene in the Saint Maximin Basilica in France.
Yeah, sure it is.
They've just got a skull on display.
Kevin, there is an entire room in a basilica, 20 minutes or something from where I live, walking distance, where it's a whole room full of bones they found in a cemetery, probably a Roman cemetery, mistook them for martyred Christians, so they just decorated the entire room with bones, rib bones, leg bones, skulls, everything.
Yeah,
Catholics love them some relics.
Yeah, that's the Black Death time. People were pretty obsessed.
But usually they're inside a cupboard or something. But this is just
not these.
You can just go for a pray and then oh, dead skin covered fucking.
Also, it's not Mary Magdalene.
No, obviously it won't actually be Mary Magdalene. Of course it won't. But they've also, I like the fact that they've gone, give her some hair. Give her some golden hair and shit. That's all right.
Yeah, make it look a little bit better. Because that's not creepy at all.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly...
That makes it less creepy.
Perfectly normal behaviour. Well done, Catholics.
Yeah, it looks like a Doctor Who monster. He's right.
Indeed.
Phil.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, right-wing grifter Goddard, who's with the Patriotic Alternative scumbags, is threatening to sue Britain First because they're stealing his work. So the grifter-on-grifter violence here in the UK is strong.
Ha ha.
Yeah.
Get the popcorn out.
Exactly. I'll keep everyone up to date with that nonsense. I just like cats judging the world around them. Just like...
That is their resting cat face.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm onto you. Some people on fucking Parler losing it. I'm never voting again. Not now that the Conservatives are playing Chinese Emperor's New Clothes by acting like the biggest coup in history hasn't taken place. Angry face.
Okay.
Please don't.
Yeah. Give it a miss. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's your right.
Yeah, I would, yeah. Oh no, that would totally own the libs if you didn't vote.
Yeah. I feel owned, so
Right.
you win.
The commander of the DC National Guard says he relayed an urgent plea for aid from the capital at 1:49 p.m. He didn't hear back from senior officials until 5:08 p.m.
What?
3 hours and 19 minutes later. They wanted. This was an attempted coup. I don't know how else to look at that, really.
More people need to lose their jobs over this.
Yeah, that's fucky, man. Yes. Yeah, this is quite nice. Abbott moves to open up Texas, end state mask mandate. And this person says, Texas is now encouraging people to wear masks like we encourage power plants to winterize.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Free market will take care of it.
Indeed. US infrastructure, this is amazing. USA, right? US infrastructure gets slightly better grade on engineers report. C-.
Is that the US? That's the US Army Corps of Engineers.
I think. It is.
we have to do some really shit infrastructure. Really,
you
bad.
are the richest nation that has ever existed. You have access to a pool of wealth beyond the imagination of most other nations on Earth, and you're like, tell you what, we get a slightly better grade. We scraped a pass, C-. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, that's because we have miles and miles of highway instead of having invested in, commuter rail and light rail.
But even so, you could afford to pave over every inch of your country if you wanted to with roads. Like it's so ridiculous that Jeff Bezos owns more than like half of America put together, and you've got crumbling bridges. The fuck?
I think I saw that people are talking about like Biden doing more direct aid and doing also like an infrastructure bill. So I think that's on the to-do list.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm not just attacking the current.
We need taxes.
Yeah.
We need.
We definitely have to tax. Yeah, people who made money off of this pandemic can definitely afford to pay more in taxes. A lot. And they'll still come away with more money.
Oh yeah.
Than they had before.
Fine.
Thank you to Juicy Shake Shack for following on Twitch. This is a question for you, I suppose, Kristi. Why is half of German Twitter just people wishing each other a good morning?
It is a very. I don't know other countries that do this. They don't do it in the UK, and I haven't seen it in France. Maybe I just didn't live there, or experience it. But there's this thing when you walk in. Let's say you walk into a waiting room at a doctor's office in Germany. You're meant to say good morning to the people in the room, and they say good morning back to you. When we would start German class and someone would come in late, they would stop and say good morning, and the lecturer would stop and let them say good morning, and we would say good morning back. So maybe just people on Twitter think they have to do that here too.
Is that just because Germany's like a well-rounded, balanced country with vaguely happy people in it?
I find it so startling still. I'll be in the middle of an article and someone will come in and say, oh, guten Abend, or, whatever, guten Tag. And I'll be like, what? Oh, yeah, guten Tag. I mean, not now, of course, because of the pandemic, but before.
Yeah, when people could be around one another.
Yeah, like in Britain, you just ignore each other politely and everyone feels comfortable in that.
Yep. Donald Trump has been formally served with lawsuit related to the Capitol attack.
Oh, excellent.
Formal notice that Representative Benny Thompson, Democratic chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, has sued him, was received by certified mail in February at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, I wonder what he's suing him over. There's no more.
There isn't a link to it particularly there, but you can fucking look it up yourselves. Yeah. It's the internet.
Well, at some point it'll come out because it has to be filed with the courts and become a public document.
This seems like it should be a bigger story. Pipe bomb found and safely detonated at an Iowa polling location.
What? I didn't even hear about anything about this.
Yeah, local voting on something or other. It doesn't really matter. And there was a pipe bomb found on Tuesday, so yesterday. Yeah.
Can we have some national attention on this domestic terrorism.
Seems like
this
that would-
politically motivated domestic terrorism.
Yeah, seems like that should be a story. Really.
Yeah.
Located 15 miles north of downtown Des Moines. Yeah. About 3 hours. Yeah, voting was interrupted for 3 hours. A pipe bomb was found outside an Iowa polling station. That definitely seems like that should be getting quite a lot more attention.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the fact that it hasn't suggests it's almost certainly a white dude. Just saying.
Yes, most likely it's Iowa.
Cats on little knitted sofas.
We had this before. It's still cute.
Yeah, it's still cute. Cats are like this. Why is it empty?
All the soft food is gone. More soft. I don't want to chew the hard stuff.
Is this cat looking into a bubble, or is it training to be an astronaut?
What a well-timed... if that's not Photoshop, that's an amazing pic to have gotten.
Look how cute that little cat is.
Oh, look. Just want to like little strokes on the belly. Look at the tiny little claws. They're so tiny.
Legend. And then, as always, we finish off with cats and dogs together. Unity! That's what needs to happen.
Aww.
Cat and dog unity, people. It's a beautiful thing.
That's the future progressives want.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, well, we're already at almost 11, so I think I'll forego bookmarks this time.
Cool.
Kick it to next week. Thank you, Chrissy. I did hear family life occurring in her background, so...
Sorry. Thank you for having us on. Logan, you want to say hi? No, he doesn't want
Hang on,
to
are you
say
speaking
hi.
to me? What?
Yeah.
It actually said my name.
No, that's Kevin, Logan.
Hello, Logan.
Kevin, hello.
Okay. Jimmy, don't snack.
All right, I will.
Jimmy.
All right.
I won't take it off. But Jimmy.
Okay.
Aw.
Have a cookie.
No, you.
I could listen to this for hours.
No snacks for you.
All right.
We might just do that.
All you can have is anything except for fudge.
All right. He just came so that I could help him get a cookie, so we're all
This is a very important job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was lovely having you
Well,
on.
you're always welcome.
Sure.
Yeah. And we'll speak to you another time and all that shit. Yeah, and the links are below. I'll have to remember to put Chrisiousiti's channel below, because this wasn't planned. But Christie's channel is definitely linked below, and as are my thingamajigs. So go and check all of that out.
Your thingamajigs
My
are
thingamajigs.
linked below.
My who's your bobs.
Your toodly woods.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, yeah, my links are below. You can go and check out all of my links. Follow me, subscribe to me, gently stroke my hair while I throw up. It's fine. Anyway, thank you all for listening and watching. It's goodbye from me and goodbye from Chrisiousity. Say goodbye, Chrisiousity.
Bye, Chrisiousity.
She did a bit. And goodbye from Kristi Winters. Say goodbye, Kristi Winters.
Goodbye, Christy Winters.
She did a bit, and now I need to raid into fucking Twitter or something.
You almost had the timing right, the order right here.
Almost, but not quite. And I think that's the important thing to remember. I am terrible at this. Anyway, yeah, it's milk o'clock, so I'm going to go for a bath.
Stay away from old ladies.